Hello and welcome to the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by waving Kyle Hilliard.
Hi.
Jeff Marchiafava.
Hey!
And Leo Vader.
Hey, thanks for giving me the most excitement.
It's always exciting. I have waves of realization of like, oh, we're so fortunate to have you, Leo. Thank you for being here, sir.
God bless you.
We have a lot to cover on this episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. We're talking about the big Xbox Games Showcase that you all streamed reactions to last week, so we'll be unpacking everything there.
Yeah, we were working, Hansen.
That's right. Yeah,
I learned. I've since learned that my opinion about Halo Infinite is wrong, which is we can get into that.
That's good.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking all about it.
Looking forward to your apology, Kyle.
for being excited for that.
And then we're going to talk about Nintendo's Gigaleak, as it's been called. A lot of interesting Nintendo development insight in some shady parts of the internet. A couple odd games here and there. Roundguard, The Messenger, Jeffem demands to speak about. So we'll talk about that. And then, of course, back after the show is community questions. Leo Vader, at the time of this recording, you just released to Patreon supporters an early access version of your first video essay.
That's right.
How does it feel so far?
It feels great. Reaction's been very positive. I feel like the point of it has been well made. You know, it's like a good pilot for how weird and fun that show is going to be.
Yeah, and the show is called
Watch Later with Leo Vader.
There we go. Excellent.
Nice.
And so these video essays are going to be up on MinnMax's YouTube channel every other Friday moving into the future. But then if you're a $5 supporter on Patreon, you get early access, a couple days early, sneak peek at this thing. Would you ever, Leo, treat it like an actual early access? Would you ever like make tweaks on the video if everybody who got that early access was like, boo, F you, you hack?
Yes. If there was some big factual inaccuracy, I would love to have that get caught in early access. And then it's even more exclusive.
That's true. That's true. But then you also had your first episode of The Great Goaty Hunt, which you're hosting, covering Red Dead Online's new Naturalism update. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Naturalist is the new role.
And what does that role entail from what you can tell so far?
Studying and hunting animals. It's a lot of porting content over from single player that people have wanted for a long time. So like legendary animals, placing a camp anywhere. Little quality of life things that kind of like add more layers of stuff to do in the world, but I haven't been able to get that far in it because it's so slow to level up. It's like you have to go to different regions and fill out a field compendium by looking at animals and studying them, by tracking them, by taking a picture of them, by shooting sedative bullets at them and taking their blood, and by killing and skinning them. And only once you've done all of those things do you fill out their entry in the compendium. So it is a lot of new checklisty content you can get up to.
It's a lot, but it seems like a smart class to add to Reddit Online. It seems like there's a lot of people out there that just are looking for a nice nature simulator.
Definitely. Like that's my most compelling role so far, I think, because before they added roles at all, that's just what I did, was walked around and hunted and observed the wildlife and tried to like min-max. Wow, that's fun. One end. The best
just
ways
one end,
to,
though, right? I mean, just to be clear.
Right.
Okay.
Get the most money from hunting that way, and so it's like a new way to engage with what is a really impressive wildlife simulator.
Yeah. Now, Jeffem had to sit there and watch Red Dead being played for an hour. Did it light any fires in your belly?
Yeah. I still want to go back to it, but I still want to go back to Ghost of Tsushima first.
Uh-huh.
And like 10 other games.
Okay.
But I'll get there.
Hey, Leo.
I'll get there.
This is the part of the show where everybody yells at Jeffem because it's very clear that he will never get there and he will never.
Yeah, you know what? I got an hour of that yesterday, Hansen, so I think we're good on that.
Oh, okay. I wasn't there. This is all news to me, man. Anyways, okay, let's talk about some Xbox games, everybody. They had their big showcase showing off what's possible in the Series X and also kind of possible in the Xbox One. A bit of a muddled message out of the gate, but it was very fun because I was on a plane when that was happening, and it was really fun because I was like thousands of feet in the sky, moving faster than I could walk or run, but it felt comfortable. It was just insane. No, it was really fun because I got to watch that completely divorced from all reactions. You know, I just got to sit down once I landed. I landed at my girlfriend's parents' house. So I'm like, I'm gonna go in the basement for an hour and watch this Xbox stream. They're all very nice. and just watched it divorced from Twitter, free from reactions, expectations, and then it's not until after you go online, just, look through the people, and it's like, oh, people are really angry about that Halo thing? Okay, what else is popping? But what was your reaction watching it live?
Well, I mean, we're, not to diminish your point, but I mean, we're just streaming it. We're not looking at Twitter while we're streaming it.
No, I know. Okay, well then what did you think of it?
Chat is kind of live Twitter. Chat's reaction to things.
I guess. I don't look at that. But I mean, I was like generally positive, very excited about Fable. That was like the big one to me. But like it's hard. You can't beat that PlayStation 5 stream. I kind of feel like
so?
they certainly wasn't as good as that. But I mean, I was excited about Fable, and I thought Halo Infinite looked cool. Like I was into that demo. Like I know there was this sort of backlash after the fact. Yeah. But like everything I saw about it, I was like, yeah, I want to play that. Sure.
Yeah, I think my general takeaway was pretty good show overall. If it was their E3 show, it's like, okay, that'd be fine. I think it's just a notch below PlayStation's, but not that far. Like there's enough there that was like, oh, that's interesting. I thought Everwild looked really, really cool. I don't think I was expecting to be so into that. The new Rare game that it almost feels like a bit of a Red Dead Online update, right? Where it's just a lot about interacting with nature, going around interacting with these gigantic kind of Princess Mononoke-esque beasts. It's a cool idea.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing about that though is like there was very little that was brand new, because like Everwild we'd seen before. Like I think I could be wrong, but was Fable the only like genuinely brand new?
No,
State of Decay 3.
Yep.
State of Decay 3. Yeah, that one was a big surprise. That really even before the stream I was like, well, they're not going to announce that specifically.
Yeah.
There's also Obsidian's Avowed, the new RPG, and then there's smaller stuff too, like even Tetris Effect Connected, like the new multiplayer kind of new version of Tetris Effect is in there, or the Gunk from the SteamWorld creators, which I think looks really cool.
Okay, yeah, you're right. There was more new stuff. I'm totally right. I just really honed in on Fable, okay?
I got it. Well, let's unpack that Fable thing a little bit. I don't know if anybody has done it. Again, being disconnected from Twitter for a while, has anybody, like, when the frog eats the fairy, kicked in All-Star? Like, it feels like a very Shrek opening, which I understand is that confusing tone of Fable in general.
See that, yeah.
But what stood out to you about that Fable presentation? Just the fact that they're making it?
The fact that they're making it, and they are approaching it with a sense of humor. I don't know if it will be funny. I don't think that was a gag that really tickled my funny bone in any significant way. But the fact that they are, I feel like that is at least a statement of like, there will be jokes, which I think is important to Fable. Like Fable is kind of like silly and weird. Yeah. And I hope that getting away from the original developer, like they're still able to embrace that like sort of strange, almost like Monty Python-y sort of British sense of humor, at times.
And I think it helps a lot that it's still a British developer, Playground Games, who made Forza Horizon series, which I love that series. I think they're surprisingly well equipped to try and make an open worldish RPG, if that's in fact what this ends up being. I mean, it's been leaked for at least a year, rumored for at least a year, to the point that it's not that big of a surprise, just the idea of, bam, Fable on the screen. But do you take it to be titled just Fable? Do you think it's going to be the full reboot?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need it to be Fable 4 necessarily, even. It's not like there was some story that needs to be continued after 3 or anything.
Forble.
But I think it'll just be Fable. I don't think it'll even have a subtitle or anything. And that's cool. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Jeff, what stood out to you about the stream?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just touching on Fable real quick, Fable and State of Decay 3 were both ones where what they showed didn't really do anything for me because there's nothing really to glean from them, Yeah. I mean, it's just...
Hello, zombie deer. Hello.
I guess
zombie deer says hello.
Don't open the door. Do not open that door.
Zombie deer here.
It's no Zombear, though. I think that's
the day's gone. They already conquered that. But what about angry herbivores? There's a new angle for Microsoft.
Yeah, is that dangerous, I guess?
Oh, did you see that deer? You don't touch that thing?
But do I care if a deer gets mad? It's not. Is a deer actually going to try and eat you now?
Are you nuts? Did you watch that trailer? It will like disembowel you. The entire point
That
is
was just a snippet from the story, and when you see that cutscene in game, the deer will just go right back to eating and not look at you anymore.
Yeah, he's just pissed that you're there at that point.
Oh, I see. It's a very territorial herbivore deer. Yeah.
Right.
He's going to pee on a tree after screaming at you and then just kind of prance off.
Perfect.
But anyway, both of those, they don't tell you anything about the game. I guess you could put Avowed in that camp too, but it's just more of the the excitement that these new entries are coming, and kind of the hope that we're putting into them that they're going to be these bigger things, especially for me with State of Decay 3, which Leo has said that State of Decay 2 has actually gotten better since it released. It had a very rocky release, but for State of Decay 2, I was always disappointed because the whole time I was thinking, oh man, Microsoft knows what it has now. It's going to put all these resources into it and like really blow this idea out, and not so much. But
they blew it.
I guess, yeah. But now I'm transferring that hope into State of Decay 3, where it's like, come on, you got to realize at this point, what a hit this could be, and how cool you can take those systems to the next level and keep, really blow up the simulation.
Yeah, it's tough because they were talking since that first State of Decay about how they wanted to make the zombie MMO. And I don't know if I really want them to do it. Like, if you look on paper, State of Decay 2 seems pretty good, right? Just up the systems, bigger world, stuff like that, multiple areas. And then playing it just didn't really click with me. Maybe it was a little bit janky at launch. And also it didn't have a very good on-ramp. State of Decay 1 also didn't have the best on-ramp. But for a game that I was ready to love, I was still getting into State of Decay 2, like, where am I supposed to go? What's the loop here? How does this whole thing work? I don't know if that's just another year of development on UI or what that means, Leo. But what was your experience with State of Decay, Leo?
I played it at launch and fell right off of it. I think it doesn't do a good job of telling you what's cool about it right away.
Yeah.
Like the kind of prolonged tutorial that seems very linear, even though you play alongside someone else and you find out like, oh, these characters I interacted with, they're generated and they have their own traits. And so now that they're in my bigger clan, they're acting differently than your tutorial characters were, which is cool, but you just have no idea when you're playing it. But a few months ago, I got into it deep just out of Watch Dogs Legion hype. Just wanting to find another systems game where it's generated characters that each play uniquely. And once you put a good few hours into State of Decay 2, like, it gets really strong. The way that you can be prestiging your skills, like you max out your cardio and then you can choose if you want to have faster sprint speed or like a higher carrier capacity. And you can really like point these people towards specific builds. And obviously the emergent stories that come out of the way that game is built. I think it's a lot more special than I gave it credit for, and definitely better than the first one.
Yeah. Looking at everything in this stream, let me run down this list. Personally, I might be the most excited about State of Decay 3. Like, I'm looking forward to Halo Infinite, but in terms of a game I think that can really capture my imagination, it's like, if they get it right, I think that one could be a big hit for them once it's finally revealed. But just kind of, yes, I think some of these were checking it off the list, Jeff, to your point about, okay, quick introductory trailers to get you the vague idea of what we're working on and then moving on.
Yeah. And Avowed is another one in that camp where it's just like, I just want, and everyone pointed it out right away of like, Obsidian did Fallout better than Bethesda does. And now they're trying to do, Elder Scrolls that way. And that's kind of just all that I want at this point. Like Bethesda has kind of had that niche for what they're doing for so long, but they've never really fixed the problems that those games have always had, that I just want someone else to try and do that formula, but not have the baggage that, Bethesda can't seem to shed with those games.
Right. And other studios have tried. What was that? Kingdom Come Deliverance? Is that what
that didn't have any of the like actual fantasy elements or like magic or anything like that. But yeah, and for all the problems that Kingdom Come Deliverance had, like, it was interesting, and I'm not sad that I played that.
Yeah, I think that was maybe the biggest surprise overall from the stream was Avowed. Like, they had DLC for Outer Worlds, which is cool. I don't think it's going to set the world on fire, but then the fact that while they're still releasing updates to Outer Worlds, they're ready to announce the next big thing. It was an interesting pitch from like Matt Booty, the head of studios over there at Xbox, who explained that, hey, this is the game that Obsidian said they wanted to make, and it's their big swing, so we're letting them do it, which is great. And it's easy to just pigeonhole it as, okay, it's going to be Microsoft's Elder Scrolls. But I think it's really cool, and it's fascinating to think that it's set in Eora, like the world from Pillars of Eternity. And it was like this...
Oh, I missed that. That is cool.
Yeah, but it's such an interesting bit of messaging because they didn't want to say, hey, it's in the world of Pillars of Eternity, because they didn't want to turn anybody off by maybe connecting it to this franchise that not a lot of Xbox players have played before. So like their subtle nod is to just say the name of the world, to like just ride that line of like fans will know, but no one will be turned off. It's perfect.
Smart.
Yeah, but it's...
I mean, I think one of the big surprises about that is just the fact that it's not Outer Worlds 2. Like when they said our next big RPG, I was taking notes. I wrote down the Outer Worlds 2, getting ready to write about it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then and crossed it off once I saw like an arrow flying through the air. So like, and that's not to say that Outer Worlds 2 isn't happening somewhere in that studio.
Of course it is,
but
yeah.
Yeah, but it's surprising that like this is the next big step. I think it's cool. Like I'd rather have it than Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah, I mean,
personally.
Outer Worlds wasn't that long ago, really. We just did a deepest dive on it right when it released, so it's as old as MinnMax is, you know?
Yeah, I'm also interested with that one, though, to see what the scale is, you know? Because I think when they first announced Outer Wilds, everyone was like, oh my god, you know, this is a Fallout game, and they were very specific with their messaging of saying, no, this is a smaller, more kind of self-contained and condensed thing just because of, you know, the people that they could commit to it.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if we're going to see the same kind of thing here, or if they do want this to be, you know, massive, giant, open world fantasy thing.
They should, even if it's a smaller open world, I think people will be hungry for that. I mean, I don't think they want to do the limited scope thing again. And now that they have the Microsoft budget to help them out, looking into it a little bit more, though, first of all, Avowed, where do we stand on the name?
Should have called it the Outer Winolds or something.
Yeah, that's a
Someone
much better
in chat
idea.
pointed out that they should have called it Arrowed because he had an arrow. I was like, okay.
There are a lot of arrows in that trailer. Yeah, it's one of those names that I saw and was like, yeah, sure, I like a good, simple name. And then I kept forgetting the name the rest of the week when I was trying to think back. And I'm like, what was that called? Awoken? What the hell was that thing? But it turns out that Josh Sawyer, who kind of got the Pillars of Eternity ball rolling over there at Obsidian, it turns out he's not working on it. He tweeted that it wasn't his project, which is surprising, but there's still plenty of other talent there at Obsidian to pick it up. And I just looked at the Pillars of Eternity subreddits trying to get a sense of what they think of it. They're all really excited, and it seems like it's hinting for it being a prequel that takes place a long time before Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2 over there. But it made me think about how wild it is that now Microsoft has this big franchise, in theory, with Avowed, that's based on the crowdfunding success of Pillars of Eternity over there on Kickstarter. Because then you think about like, well, wait, of all the Microsoft franchises now, so many of them had their roots in crowdfunding. Like Hellblade, huge franchise, crowdfunded. Psychonauts 2, even like Wasteland, not the biggest franchise, but still a Microsoft franchise now, also got its roots in crowdfunding. It kind of goes to show, I think, kind of the grassroots approach to Microsoft in this era, trying to give fans what they want by giving them sequels to projects that were, you know, had a bunch of fans on the end of the rope being like, we'll just give you money, please make this thing.
State of Decay even started as a Kickstarter, the first one.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about that. Yeah. Also, fun fact, Halo Infinite. They're going to start up a Kickstarter to boost up those graphics. Boo. Okay, should we unpack this thing, Halo Infinite?
Yeah.
Kyle, you were very pro, but does the pro get more detailed than just, it looks like Halo 1, therefore you got a smile on your face?
I mean, it's not much deeper than that.
That's
to
fine,
be
man.
honest, like there are elements that people like I see on Twitter and stuff like cite as like, I don't like this, I don't want that. That I'm like, I'm totally for that. Like open world, for example. Like I saw some people tweeting like, man, the second they hit pause and open that map, I was turned off. And I was like, I had the opposite reaction. I like the idea of being able to drive a warthog around a big open world. And then I also like the hook shot, the grappling hook thing. I think that's cool, like in terms of navigation and enemies and stuff like that. But I mean, a large part of it was just like seeing the Halo in the distance, and the idea of maybe the full game taking place on that one Halo is really exciting to me, and like being able to actively explore it in real time. Those elements seem really exciting to me.
Those do seem exciting. However, maybe I'm missing it, but I guess 343 did like a follow-up kind of panel discussion where they shed some more light. Still did not use the word open world. They say that, the world of this game is bigger than 4 and 5 combined. But you think if it's open world, they would just say it. So the fact that they're dancing around that is confusing. Maybe they don't want to turn off Halo fans by saying open world, but it's weird when it's like, just tell me what this thing is. Is it open world or not? And the fact that they're not putting a label on it is odd.
I mean, my guess... I was just going to say quickly, Jeff, my guess is not open world, but non-linear large levels.
Yeah.
Is what I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I was thinking, like big open zones, but just not necessarily you can go to any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition style or something. But I'm kind of with Kyle, like the fun idea of having an open world in Halo is that it's an open world that's shaped unlike any other open world in a video game. Like it'd be really cool to literally be able just to look up at the ring and say, I'm going there. Or like, oh, that's where that other level was. And I'm sure there's still going to be some of that, but it's weird if they weren't able to pull off the full open world, or maybe it's just not what they want for the design. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping for, even though that I'm sure that would that's a ridiculous, wish of what you want from a game, because one of those rings is still as big as like a world. I mean, like the sheer amount of land mass that would be in a ring-sized ring world is totally undoable.
You'd be driving a warthog for like an hour. And
for a very long time.
Well, okay.
Well,
maybe I don't want this.
You could just make the ring really skinny, though. So you could kind of level it out so it'd be an okay size for the overall world.
I hope, however big it ends up being, I hope you can just get to the edge of the ring world and then see what the hell happens there.
Ooh, is there a wall? Kyle, you're a lore nut. What's going on over there?
Am I? Are you confusing me with Wade Wojcik again?
Oh, wait, you're not Wade Wojcik? What the hell?
No. I think it'll be Mario Galaxy style. You just keep going around,
That's a donut world.
Yes, donut world. Like, yes, it's a Yoshi's Island reference.
I was fine with the gameplay. I love Halo 1 by far the most out of any of the Halo games, so it's fun to see them embrace that a little bit more. It certainly felt like the demo was positioned like it had a lot of badass moments and badass gameplay, except it didn't seem that badass. Like, it seemed just a little bit slow. I know people are complaining about the graphics. They seemed like it could have been an Xbox One game. It is an Xbox One game as well. Yeah. But it is just a weird thing to have all these like moments in the combat framed as if it's like, oh, the big God of War, crazy kill, look how awesome this is. And it's like, yeah, it looks just like a kill. All right, he does like the grappling hook, pulls the guy in and kills him. Like, that seems fine.
That is true, but the thing that I also enjoyed about the original Halo, and the thing that blew my mind, was that it was all kind of tactical, and it wasn't just like scripted, here's a big boss battle, exactly what his moves are going to be. Like, you had to actually think on the battlefield and think on the fly in terms of like grabbing other weapons and how you move around and stuff like that. And so that I can understand that that's not a super cool demo, perhaps, and I can also understand it seems like a lot of people just aren't into the Halo franchise, and this isn't going to change any of their minds. And I can totally understand someone like that seeing it and saying, "Oh, that doesn't look that cool." But if that's what drew you to the franchise to begin with, and that's more of what you want, then it was exciting for us, I think.
And especially when the pitch can be, hey, if you're on PC or you have an Xbox One or an Xbox Series X, basically anybody who's nostalgic about Halo in any way, this might appeal to you, and you can get in for $1 with that first month of Xbox Game Pass. I mean, that's a pretty compelling sell to just try and hit any ounce of nostalgia across the sphere. It's like, oh, you can stream it anywhere with xCloud as well.
Yeah, that's part of kind of the feeling of almost devaluation of the Halo franchise for what, used to be such a trendsetter, landmark releases and stuff. It's like it kind of needed to come back in a big way, and now it feels like, yeah, this is just a part of Microsoft's vast lineup, not their like number one thing or anything.
Yeah, I was listening to this other podcast, I think on 8.4, they were parroting some tweet that they saw, so it's second hand, third hand, fourth hand, but they said, oh, it's interesting that with this games showcase, it's emphasizing that the Xbox Series X's killer app, instead of Halo, is Game Pass. Positioning the concept of Game Pass as this is the new killer app. This is the reason you want this console, because you can play all these games. But then if you also have xCloud, you could play them with higher fidelity in a number of places. So it gets complicated. They also said in one of those follow-up interviews that it will be an updating world. So they said, so we look at Halo Infinite as a platform that will grow over time and it will continue bringing new stories into it. But they also said that this is like a self-contained story as well. So it's not quite the full Destiny experience that some people were maybe expecting, but at the same time, they're going to be updating it. And, you know, they've been dabbling with that over there at 343 for a while. Even you remember like Halo 4 had those like co-op story missions that they were dropping over time where it's like, hey, we have seasons of these little story vignettes that I don't know how much the Halo fans got into that, but it was an interesting idea for sure.
You know, one other thing that on the topic of the story.
Yeah.
That actually kind of, another thing that sort of excited me, and I don't know if this is what the story is going to be, but I get the sense that, like, it's a story about this guy who really wants to go home, but Master Chief is just, like, pulling him along, like, hey, we got to do this thing first. And I like the idea of, like, what I'm assuming will be the character that you're interacting with the most in the game does not treat Master Chief like this, like, heroic, like, legendary soldier, because that's what Halo has always been. It's like the elite are scared of him and call him the demon, and everyone who meets him is like, oh my gosh, Master Chief is here, hooray, this is the best. I like the idea of a character being like, can we just, like, stop getting into danger here and, like, go home? I'd like to go home. And I like someone, like, you know, getting mad at Master Chief is just such a weird, novel idea.
That's what players want in their power fantasy as Master Chief, is to have some guy be like, you suck, don't.
I mean, I'm kind of into it, you know? like just someone to just, like, bring him down a peg, you know?
Yeah. Then by the end, he takes off his helmet. It's just a big old frown on his face. You treated me real rough out there the entire mission, dude.
I saved your life countless times.
Also, are we all assuming that the game's going to have co-op?
Yeah.
It
for the
has
story
to,
and
man.
stuff?
Oh, wait, yeah.
I mean, like, Halo 5, I feel like, was not the success it should have been because it lacked local co-op. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons the game doesn't look as good as everyone wants, is because with Halo 5, they chose graphical fidelity and lost co-op, and people were upset. So I think this time they're going to choose co-op and lose graphical fidelity. And in the long run, I think people will appreciate it, even though they're kind of mad about it right now.
Why wouldn't they have led with that, though?
Yeah.
To get
That's
people
true.
excited.
That's a good point. I'll be surprised if it's not. Just because Halo 5, I feel like people were really frustrated by that, you know?
Yeah, at least
especially as they're going more open world, it seems like that, you know, formula only shines all the more to be able to run around with your friends and do different things and stuff.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, they've never had a lore explanation for co-op in Halo, right? So it's just been
Halo 1, they didn't. There was just another Master Chief there.
Yeah.
And no one cared, and it's fine. They could do that again, it's fine. But into Halo 2 and 3 and Reach, they did have, like, you were... Well, actually, no, Halo 2 didn't. 3, you were playing as the Arbiter.
Oh, that's right.
So 3 was the first time that it actually had real context. But yeah, Halo 1 and 2, like, there was another Arbiter, there was another Master Chief. It was fine.
It's totally fine. Hopefully it's still fine in 2020, yeah. And it seems like the lore it's set after Halo 5 for Halo Infinite. Do you care much about, you know, the Banished and the setup here, Kyle?
No, I didn't finish 5, which I think is pretty telling about how I felt about 5 in general. So, I mean, if this kind of represents a little bit of a reset of, like, this is a new faction of Covenant, like, that's fine for me. Yeah.
Did you see there was an interesting tweet that had a comparison of the Halo 4 design for Master Chief's armor versus the Halo Infinite?
I think I did see that.
Yeah. It's one of those small things where it's like, okay, it seems about right. But if you really stop and think about it, it really caught my imagination, that idea of just how far design has come in these 8 years. You know, it's like back in 2012 with Halo 4, they're going for more of that grounded, dark, kind of gritty, a little more of a Zack Snyder edge to it. And then I love that, like, the design for the armor this time around is just cleaner, simpler, boiling it down, not trying to be gritty, not trying to be cool. It's just, let's just present this iconic thing in the most iconic form we can. That's a nice, I'm glad that we've got there, you know? Let's see, other stuff. They showed Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is interesting. One of the games where they really tried to push the technical gravitas of the Xbox Series X, which was funny because after the Halo Infinite one, where they're like, Halo Infinite's coming at you at a blistering rock solid 60 frames per second. And then the Ori team gets up there and they're like, 60 frames per second can eat my butt. 120 frames is the only way to play games in the future. So it's weird messaging overall, but still cool to see the team getting out there and showing off Ori running at 120 for the Series X. Anything else stand out to anybody about the entire stream that we haven't hit yet?
Well, they separated Hello Neighbor 2 and Balan Wonderland. Did you see that one?
Balan Wonder World.
Balan Wonder World. Excuse
Yeah.
me. This isn't a Game Boy game. Excuse me. Which I'm assuming those just got separated because they would have included them, but they're not going to be Game Pass games. And I think they wanted to say everything here is going to be a Game Pass game.
Sure.
Or it's going to be console launch exclusive, which is, a lot of these games are being rounded up.
Although the one thing that they did, there was a fine print on, is that the Outer Worlds DLC is only 10% off if you have Game Pass.
Oh,
So that is
interesting.
still for purchase.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, that Balan Wonderworld is interesting. So it's Yuji Naka, the creator of Sonic, reunited with his old art director as well. 3D platformer, you're equipping different suits in a very Crash 4-esque way, just for another 3D platformer in 2020, because it's the year to do it, I guess.
It looks good. Like it looks solid. It looks like Nights into Dreams. Like it almost looks like a successor to that.
Those human characters, like if you just look at their silhouettes, they're all like very Sonic-y. Like the main character looks like Sonic's silhouette. The one looks like Amy Rose. It's bizarre, but I guess that design works. It's been time tested. Let's see, other stuff that stood out to me is I like that even though Microsoft purchased a lot of these indie studios, that they're still letting their personalities shine through. Like I really like that the Hellblade team, the Ninja Theory team got up there and they're like, hey, you can learn more about the development of Hellblade 2 by checking out our dev diaries on Ninja Theory's YouTube. Like it's not on Xbox's YouTube, it's still a separate thing. And it was just a really nice little nostalgic touch for me as somebody who watched all those dev diaries, that even in this big showcase, they had like the old music from like the earliest dev diaries for Hellblade playing underneath them. It's just like a nice little touch, you know? Or the Double Fine stuff with Psychonauts 2, the fact that they showed footage from the Two Player Productions documentary that they're supposedly filming for Psychonauts 2, showing Jack Black in the studio and stuff like that. Like it was a nice reminder that Microsoft seems to be backing off and letting these studios retain their kind of indie freaky personality out there.
Yeah, that Double Fine Psychonauts 2 trailer was a highlight for me. I was going to bring that up. I love that trailer.
Yeah. I think I was expecting more from the song. I was waiting for it to really kick in. It's like, okay, it's just kind of like soft 70s psychedelic thing. That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's cool.
Fine.
So let's see. Stuff they didn't show. They said that they were showing off stuff from studios, 9 of the 15 game studios. So stuff that was missing, if you really want to round it up, Coalition, but obviously Gears 5 wasn't that long ago. They're still working on that. Compulsion Games is probably still in development on whatever their next project is.
Who's Compulsion? What else have they done?
Well, who can forget? They made Contrast, and then they made... I want to
We
say
Happy Few?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
God, I want to call it Hello Neighbor. Yes, We Happy Few. The Initiative, which is the new Santa Monica team, that rumors are bubbling that they're working on Perfect Dark, but don't get your hopes up. You never know. World's Edge, the Age of Empires team, nothing from them, which is very disappointing. And In Exile, who has Wasteland 3 coming up around the corner, also didn't show anything, but they showed a lot. So they have that Perfect Dark slam dunk or whatever the Initiative is working on for maybe next year's showing, something like that.
You're so sure it's Perfect Dark.
I'm not sure. I think the internet is locking in that it is, and I still think it's probably 70% chance.
I mean, to be clear, I think that's a really good bet, but it is. I feel like we're at a point now on the internet where we're like, and then Perfect Dark will come. It's like, well, hold on. Let's slow down a little bit here.
Exactly. Hey, we should find out the value of different Microsoft franchises, Kyle. Thanks to the MinnMax community. Because in the Discord, we had a poll. We're like, hey, let's round up all of Microsoft's currently owned franchises. People were very confused about this. But stuff that is relevant moving into the future that Microsoft owns, let's figure out what is the community's favorite franchises. So put together a big list. The wonderful mods in the Discord put it together. People submitted their votes. And so we're going to read off the community's top 10 list for Microsoft franchises.
Okay, you ready?
I am so ready. I'm very curious how this goes.
Number 10, Forza Motorsport.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
On the list.
Yeah.
Forza
Yeah,
Motorsport.
It ultimately is a much bigger franchise for them, but I can totally understand for the community in terms of excitement for it,
Right.
or like how much mind space they're giving it. I can understand that coming in at 10.
Which was interesting that they said that Turn 10 was just starting development on this game overall, on the next Forza, because, I mean, it's been a while since the last Forza. You would think that they'd be further along, but maybe they're just trying to slow expectations a little bit so people weren't expecting it at launch, because I assumed it was coming at launch at first. Okay, anyways, Forza, number 10.
Number 9, I'm surprised it isn't higher, honestly, Minecraft.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it
I think it's just this, like, it's just ubiquitous at this point. I don't think people really think of it as, like, something to be excited about. Maybe it's just like Minecraft exists and it will always exist. I
wonder if it's one of those things, too, where it still feels weird calling it a Microsoft franchise. You don't connect it with the history of Xbox in a way.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's just the core Minecraft franchise hasn't changed that much over the past couple of years, and then we got Minecraft Dungeons, which by all accounts is a good, kind of family weight dungeon crawler, but probably not, another core. If they announced Minecraft 2 tomorrow with mind-blowing graphics or something, then maybe it would have gone higher on the list or something.
With the super duper textures in there. Okay, Minecraft, love it.
Oh.
Number 8, The Outer Worlds.
Okay. Also expected that to be higher. It seemed like it
That
was
would
such a crowd
expect to be
pleaser.
higher, yeah.
Number 7, Banjo-Kazooie. Which I feel like heading into the show was the big one that everyone was like, this is it. We're going to get something Banjo-Kazooie. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Banjo 3E or what, but yeah.
It's just a tough thing. I'm sure they would be up for doing something with it, but who's the studio? If Rare has its hands full of still updating Sea of Thieves in some way, and then Everwild,
what are the Super Lucky's Tale people doing?
They're actually...
they would be a good fit.
Yeah, banging on the door at the Redmond office demanding, please give us Banjo-Kazooie.
Totally. Yeah, I almost wish it was like almost got treated the way Ratchet and Clank does with Insomniac.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's always a Banjo-Kazooie that they're working on that they'll release at some point, but it's like, then they've got the other bigger Spider-Man projects that they're putting more of their sort of muscle behind.
Yeah. Oh, imagine if Insomniac, instead of making Sunset Overdrive when they partnered with Microsoft at the last generation, if they made the new Banjo-Kazooie. Wouldn't that have been interesting? That could have happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not impossible, man. That would have been weird, but it would have kind of fit.
Yeah.
Okay, number 6, Hellblade.
Okay. Above Banjo-Kazooie,
and Outer Worlds and Minecraft.
Modern gaming. There's a lot of love for Hellblade. I get it.
I mean, I love Hellblade. It would be high on my personal list for sure. But I'm just surprised to see it on the community list, but also happy to see it high on the community list. Number 5, Forza Horizon.
Correct.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
The fun one.
I see.
Yeah, the fun one. I mean, what do you think? I mean, Horizon outsells Motorsport at this point, right? Do you think?
I don't know if that's true. Let's see. Have they been very public with those
I don't know if
sales?
there's a great way to tell, because it's one of those things that it's like people who really like Forza Motorsport are kind of like people who maybe aren't as dug into like the sort of the game industry, and they buy like some sports games, but they always buy the new Forza Motorsport, where Forza Horizon is more for people who are like closer to the game industry, who are buying, the weird obscure indie games and stuff like that. They also like Forza Horizon because it's a little weird,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's see. Okay, we can figure it out here. So, best-selling Xbox One games of all time. Oh, interesting. So, this is probably a little bit old on Wikipedia here, but Forza Horizon 3 is in the lead with 2.5 million. Then Forza Motorsport 5 with 2 million, and then Forza 6 with 1 million below that. So I'm curious how 4 stacked up and all that stuff, but all right.
Interesting.
So yeah, maybe Horizon is more popular.
Yeah. Number 4, Ori. And which I feel like that I need to say more of that, if that makes sense. Every time I say Ori, I feel like I'm supposed to say like and the Will-o-the-Wisps or something. Like Ori by itself, a single word, doesn't feel like the name of that franchise.
Well, it's Ori and the is the name of the franchise.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it works.
Thank you.
Although, I mean, I don't think Microsoft owns that. I think Moon Studios still owns that IP, right?
I mean, I don't know. I guess, could you look at who published it on Switch, maybe? Is that like a quick way
I
to
think
see?
Microsoft
Like look at the
still
eShop
published
listing?
it on Switch. Let's see. But that's a murky one. But they are technically the publisher.
Because this morning they announced that Moon's like next project is going to be a new IP. It's going to be an action RPG, and it's being made with
Private
why
Division.
is the name suddenly Private Division?
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's funny. We were talking recently about, hey, I wonder if Microsoft offered to buy that studio, and it's like, well, I guess maybe they had this was what they wanted to do, you know?
Yeah, they wanted to make an action RPG. That's really exciting news, and I know that Private Division lets the studios retain the IP, so maybe a lot of other offers were trying to just gobble up whatever Moon Studios wanted to crank out next, and so this seems like the best option. But yeah, hats off to Private Division for still going strong and landing that deal. I mean, everybody wants Moon Studios. They're such a talented team.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that's a confusing one, but probably, yes.
Number 3 is Fable.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
2, Gears of War. And then number 1, probably you guys can guess. Are you laughing because we just don't have much to say about Gears of War?
I mean, it's one of those things where you could expect it, but I guess I just don't hear that much discussion about Gears of War, so I was expecting it to be a little bit lower on that list compared to some of these like beloved ones for our community.
I mean, it is one I sort of connect to Xbox. When I think of Gears of War, I think of Xbox.
See, I think that gets back to the Minecraft thing, and maybe why people are ranking this in an interesting way. Because you think of even the amount of buzz and love for Outer Worlds versus Gears 5. Like, that's just bizarre. But I think there's a lot of nostalgia for Gears, so I totally get it. And number 1...
Halo.
There we go.
Some facts here. Halo got almost half of the first place votes, far and away the highest percentage of any poll we've done so far.
Wow.
So people still really like Halo.
You heard it here first, people.
Age of Empires was number 11.
Oh, always number 11. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
I don't know about State of Decay. It wasn't on the top 10, and then Roland didn't share any facts about where it might have placed on the list. So, yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. Well, hey, thanks for everybody in the Discord that voted on that. If you want to join that Discord, which is a wonderful place, you can support us at any tier on Patreon. We'd appreciate it. Did you guys see this? Hopefully it's not anybody's get a load of this. Did you see that little factoid from that weirdo interview with Gabe Newell where somebody asked him like what the better console was coming out this fall, and he's like, oh, it's Xbox Series X. And they're like, why? And he goes, oh, it just is. It's a better system.
Yeah, he didn't elaborate at all. I was like, what the heck?
Do you think it's just because Epic is kind of getting buddy-buddy with Sony over there? So he's like, you know what? That Epic Game Store is screwing us. I'm going the other way.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, maybe.
Or we talked about it on the Red Dead stream yesterday some.
Oh, did you?
I'm guessing it's the PC connection there. Like they probably just have to press one button to make a game go from PC to Xbox.
I see. So when they eventually port Half-Life Alyx to Xbox, makes total sense. I think it's telling though. Like Gabe seems like a straight shooter. He's too rich to not be honest, and he knows his tech. Like if he has, wait, I'm sorry. But if
he's rich enough to be trustworthy,
That's how trustworthiness works. It's the more that you have, the more trustworthy you are.
Yeah, dollars are just like a way to level up your trustworthiness, Leo. Didn't you know this?
Yeah.
Anyways, but like he's probably seen both consoles. He's probably messed around with both of them. So if he's making that call, I think it's pretty interesting.
Sure.
I think it was just weird that he had no elaboration to offer at all. He's just like, why? He was like, because. And then he just like walked away.
Well, to be fair, it was on like Good Morning New Zealand. So what's he going to do? Break down the SSDs? Come on. Hey, just to crack these open a little early, Victor Pham writes in and says, hey, is Microsoft fumbling their messaging going into next gen? In previous interviews, Phil Spencer has spoken about games from Xbox first party being developed for both current gen and next gen, while a large majority of the games shown at the showcase were actually next gen only. Spencer has also spoken at length about his distaste for timed exclusives, and yet the showcase was full of them. They talk about Series X being the world's most powerful console, but then show Halo Infinite, which doesn't look next gen at all. What gives? Yes, there's a lot going on here. Just in general, do you think they're fumbling their messaging? I feel like they've had a pretty gamer-friendly message for the last couple of years. And the Game Pass, I still think, is an amazing deal for gamers, but it's one of those things of it's starting to get complicated to figure out, what is this here? What is releasing on what, and what's it going to look like?
Yeah, I think part of that is just that Microsoft's going to say whatever is most advantageous to them at the time. So when they weren't buying a lot of timed exclusives, it's very easy and very, friendly with gamers to say, oh yeah, we don't believe in that timed exclusive stuff. But then once they have the budget for it and they actually want to invest in that, they're going to change their tune about it. And the idea that also their cross-platform idea of like, oh, you're going to be able to play anything anywhere. Well, obviously they have to start cutting off games at some point and systems at some point. You're not going to be able to continue play Halo 10 on your Xbox One.
Well, no, but
the question of when that starts happening, they don't want to say anything more forward than like the next current couple games. But I'm sure as soon as a developer comes to them and says, hey, yeah, this is going to run like crap on Xbox One, we can't do it, then they're going to say, okay, fine, then it's not coming out there.
Well, the complicated thing is that seems like it's already happening. And so they said for the next couple of years, the games are going to be straddling both. But then a lot of these games they were shown, if you look at the fine print, it's like, oh, it's not being listed for Xbox One. And so at this point, the idea of them making it work for Xbox One, it just doesn't seem realistic. And so The Verge had an interesting write-up trying to get to the bottom of this because their messaging is all over the place on this one front. And so these are the games from the showcase that did not list Xbox One as an option in the fine print. State of Decay 3, Forza Motorsport, Fable, Avowed, As Dusk Falls, Everwild, Stalker 2, Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, and The Medium. But, I mean, some huge ones. I mean, the idea that Fable and Forza aren't at this point being said that they're going to release for Xbox One after this message from Phil Spencer and the rest of the Microsoft team for quite a while of saying, hey, we're going to straddle generations for a little bit here. It's pretty telling that they're ready to cut that off faster than we think.
Those games are also probably like 2 years out, though. Right?
I mean, Forza, you got to think it's coming faster than that.
Yeah, I would assume so. But Fable feels pretty far out if all they had was a pre-rendered trailer.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, Forza Horizon 4 was 2018, I believe. And so, they've been ramping up since then. So, yeah, maybe next year, if they're really being ambitious, they certainly know how to crank out titles over there. But I think
it's funny. My initial reaction to that question actually was a no, because I feel like their messaging is just like, we're Game Pass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like that, they're selling pretty well. But I think you bring up some very good points about the confusion about cross-generation and stuff like that. But in terms of like, to me, Xbox Series X is like the Game Pass machine. I feel like that's coming across pretty strong. But,
yeah. It is interesting thinking of Microsoft focusing on, hey, they'll be cross-generational, all these games, and then it turns out, we're leaning towards the future. And then I'm still waiting for the hammer to drop of Sony announcing that Spider-Man Miles Morales will be released on PS4, which I think it is. And so once that messaging gets out there, then everyone's going to be like, I don't know what's going on anymore. What do generations mean?
Well, it would probably be a Breath of the Wild situation, right? You can play it like a month or however, I don't know what the gap between Breath of the Wild was day and data Switch and Wii U, right? Yep. Twilight Princess was about a month apart, I think. Wii and then GameCube. So I wonder if it's going to be that situation. Like if you want to play it early and you want to play the best version, you play on PS5. If you're willing to wait, you can play it in a month on PS4.
That seems kind of antiquated. I think they would just get it all out of the gate right away so they can round up the sales. Yeah. But to your point, Kyle, Birkin in Minnesota says, I think a lot of the backlash Xbox got for the game's presentation stems from marketing it as a showcase of games for the, quote, most powerful console, despite only showing cross-gen games that don't demonstrate the console's full potential. In order to properly set expectations and avoid backlash, should they have labeled or marketed the showcase differently? Perhaps just as an Xbox Game Pass showcase instead. It would have likely received less viewers, but also less backlash.
I don't know. I don't know if it would have received less viewers. I think everyone wanted something. But that's a good point, though. That is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a tough sell to be like, look at the power of this generation. It's wild. But then also, this stuff can still run over there. So they're stuck no matter what. But I don't know how you message that smoothly as, here's a bunch of games coming to the Game Pass. Oh, by the way, we're going to be selling a new super expensive console this year. Buy it if you want. Like, that just seems too murky.
I think they were much more concerned with saying, hey, how do we declare that we have the most powerful console coming this holiday? And and we're just going to shoehorn that in because we're not talking about the hardware at all anyway in this, showcase. So we'll just declare that these are the games coming to the most powerful console.
Yeah.
Job done.
Job done. Job done, Microsoft. Looking forward to learning more about Halo Infinite. What they said, like multiplayer within a couple months they're going to be showing.
Yeah, and also I saw I didn't substantiate or really look into it too much, but I saw someone saying that like that multiplayer might be like released after the single player game, but I don't know about that.
A lot of rumors still flying about Halo Infinite. It's probably a bad sign.
It could have been like a GTA approach, maybe like give people a week or so to play the campaign and then get multiplayer going.
That seems
not for
bizarre.
Halo. That seems bad.
I think it's probably a bad sign that we're this close to the launch of Halo Infinite. They just had this big presentation with all the eyeballs focused on it for Halo Infinite, and people still have a million questions about Halo Infinite. I mean, maybe
basic
co-op?
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Right. Anyways, do you all want to talk about Carrion?
Yes.
Great. The freaky monster game that, let's see, Jeff and Kyle have been playing. Leo, have you checked this thing out at all?
No, I haven't. It seems you hurt people in it, and I can't endorse that.
I think that's a really smart take, man. So Carrion, you're a monster that's getting bigger and bigger, crawling, 2D perspective, crawling through this environment, eating people. You have very stringy tentacles as you consume people. Kyle, what do you think of this thing?
Oh, I love hurting people, so
okay,
unlike
cool.
Leo. No, it's good. It's like the thing that game does the best, and even after playing it for like a minute, you're like, oh, okay, I see why this is interesting, is how you control the monster and the way it like grabs onto walls and pulls itself along and stuff like that. Like that part is awesome, and it only gets better as you literally grow. But then there are other elements of the game, like it doesn't have a map. It's kind of it's I wouldn't go so far as to call it like a Metroidvania. It's pretty close though. And even though like they do a lot of things to help you not need a map, I got lost a lot, and like I really would have benefited from a map, even just to like give me some just a general direction to head towards, But your abilities expand like again, literally like over the course of the game in interesting ways. And even though there's like, have you guys Jeff, have you finished it?
No, I played like 7 or 8 hours before I stopped playing.
Okay, you're probably pretty close, but and there's not really like a lot of story. There's no dialogue. There's no text or anything, but there is, like occasionally you get a little bit of an idea of like what's happening, and it ends really strongly. Like I think the ending is very cool. So I would encourage you to see it to the end. But overall, like good. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Is there a chance it's making your top 10, Kyle?
Probably not.
Okay.
If I'm going to be honest, like it's good. It's like if I were reviewing it, I'd probably be like in around that 7 or 8, maybe like a high 7 or 8 kind of range.
Okay.
But I don't know. You got to see what the rest of the year looks like. I mean, it was enough that I was like eager to finish it, and I was excited to finish it. If I really disliked it, I would have stopped playing after I got lost the third time.
It is one of those games I'm really happy I picked up just to see how it feels to play, because we can't overstate the movement of the monster is so awesome, and just like flinging stuff around is. They need to release just a slice of a demo so people can get a feel for how bizarre it is to control that thing.
That sort of exists.
Oh, really?
On the Switch version, at least, there in the start menu, there's demo. So like if you just want to show a friend or something, you can hand them your Switch and they can just play. I'm guessing it was like an E3 or PAX demo or something.
Oh, okay. It's kind of that.
But that's in there, which is kind of cool. It's like What the Golf has that too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, check out just so you get an idea of what this game is. You can play this demo. This has that too, which I think is cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I did enjoy it, and I do think that is the strongest part of it, is just how it controls and how it looks as you're moving around is super cool. But I did eventually grow tired of... I don't think the formula changes enough as it goes on. It just kind of gets a little more complicated with some of the puzzles, and the combat gets harder, which I did not enjoy the combat. I enjoy the fact that you can do like the kind of brain control where you latch onto someone and then you can use their weapons and stuff. But beyond that, their like combat can become a real pain in the butt. And the controls, as cool as traversing everything is, sometimes, when you're trying to grab something specific, especially in the middle of combat, it gets very tedious, and the checkpoints can also kind of be a pain. And so I eventually, for as cool as a cross between kind of the Metroid formula and The Thing as like one of my favorite movies. I was fully on board at the beginning, but ultimately ran out of steam with it.
That's Carrion, everybody.
Yes, but the fact that you say it ends strong, Kyle, makes me think maybe I should just go back and finish the last hour.
I think you're very close. Like I think I only
seemed,
played it for about
like
5 hours.
In terms of unlocks, ability unlocks and stuff, it seemed like I was getting towards the end. But yeah, maybe I'll go back to it.
See you to the end.
Hi, Leo.
Hey guys,
How's everything
You did
going over
great.
there?
you did great on that segment. I was happy to listen.
Oh, thanks. You're on the edge of your seat. I can see.
Yeah.
What's your life like these days?
Living, laughing, loving, my brother. It's been great.
Does it feel stress-free? Does it feel different? Do you feel like you're settling into your new groove yet?
I feel like I'm in my new groove. I like it a lot. It's like I've kind of built my life right now around the things I like doing most in my career and in my personal life. So it's really a very good time for me, as much as it might not be a good time for the world.
That's true. I feel stressed out because, it's weird working with you on like the part-time basis. Because I feel like I've been sending you a lot of Slack messages about like, we kind of do things this way. This is the way our YouTube descriptions work. Be sure to post this before that. I feel like I'm needling you. Does it feel like you're being needled?
If I ever disagreed with anything, I think we got to that point in Game Informer sometimes where I was like, okay, I'm being needled. But so far it's been like, oh yeah, that's something I forgot to do, and I needed a reminder for it apparently. So
it's kind of fun.
Not yet is the answer.
Oh, good. It's like a fun realization of MinnMax still feels really simple and small in my mind, which I love. But then you bring somebody new on, especially somebody more technical, and it's like, okay, you got to remember this, and you just realize like, oh, we've actually been building up a system and a whole language here that's. Turns out it takes a little while to convey how these things work, and like, simple things like, oh, we do polls on Patreon this way instead of having it at the percentage base. Like, those tiny details are fun to convey.
Yeah, and I mean, you were very clear. It was like, Leo, you're out of here if you can't get this right. Like, I find it really easy to get the motivation to do that.
Oh, cool, man. Hey, you checked out Roundguard again, which is a Peggle clone that came out earlier this year, but then you were red hot on an update?
Yes, I was red hot at launch as well. Roundguard, like you said, Peggler, for people who don't know. Peggle genre of game. It's if you like Peggle, you'll like Roundguard. But there's also abilities. So like after you fire, you can use a number of abilities, like a double jump where you can change your direction, or like shoot an arrow at an enemy because you're kind of defeating enemies instead of defeating orange pegs like in Peggle. And it's all procedurally generated like a roguelike. But what they added was daily and weekly challenges with the fun modifiers that they tend to bring with those. So they're like the first weekly, for example, just turned off gravity. So normally it's, like a pachinko machine where it bounces off the pegs and works its way down, but just turning off gravity, it's more just ricocheting like a DVD screensaver, a DVD player screensaver, and it completely changes the gameplay, which is like just what I needed as an excuse to get back into that game every once in a while. It's like, oh, I can boot it up and do a daily and get a puzzle piece, and if I get 8 puzzle pieces from doing a number of dailies and weeklies, then I can get these permanent upgrades in the game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what puzzle pieces do, because as soon as you mentioned a Peggle like RPG in our Slack message, I threw my phone out the window and ran straight to my console and started playing it. And I'm also having a ton of fun with it. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, they are relics. Relics you can unlock in the normal game, and there are exclusive like daily and weekly relics that you can unlock again forever. And they kind of change the gameplay, like double the amount of enemies, or like you have all this extra mana, but it's constantly draining. Weird little gameplay changes that can end up in you getting more points, which is the gold in the game. Yeah. So it's like as you unlock them, you turn on more and more of them and see how you can combine them to get the best score and have the right level of challenge for you. It's kind of like Halo Skulls, I guess.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting, it's like Peggle, but with classes, and you're fighting enemies and collecting loot and all these other things. I didn't know that was something I wanted so much, but apparently it was the whole time. So,
it works. I'm glad you're playing it. Keep it in mind for Game of the Year.
Oh, wow, number one Game of the Year slot. And the nice thing is like it's on Switch. It's on sale for $12 right now. It's like, all right, that seems like a game that would be really fun to have on Switch compared to other stuff. Because I played a little bit on Steam, and I was kind of like, it doesn't have that PopCap level of polish and charm that, of course, I was expecting, which is naive. But having just kind of a indie Peggle clone on Switch, that makes total sense.
Yeah, and also
I guess it's Apple Arcade on phone.
Right.
I literally went to go download it as we were talking about it. Embarrassed that I wasn't familiar with this. So.
I just to further sell you on it, Kyle, I was going to say, I know that you don't like roguelikes, but in this case, it's Peggle. You know, like when a round ends and you decide, I'm going to start another one, it's just more Peggle levels. Like
that seems like it works, you guys.
It's not like soul crushing when a run ends or anything like that. And I do think they do a good job of giving you a bunch of rewards as you go on. Like when you eventually lose a run, the first thing it does is tally up all the gold that you got, and then you spin a wheel, and that gives you a power up for your next run. So you're not, just starting completely from scratch. And so there's just a lot of very smart kind of things like that.
For sure.
Nice.
The one relic I looked at before this podcast, because I wanted to have one ready to talk about, and then I forgot about it until right now, is it's called Instinct, and it makes it so if you shoot within the first 2 seconds of the ball, sitting in the launcher at the start of a turn, you are shielded, so you take less damage from the enemies you hit. But if you wait longer than 2 seconds, you're vulnerable, so you take extra damage. So like turning that relic on completely changes the game of just shooting as fast as you possibly can and feeling the instinct. But I think that, like Jeff was saying, just smart design choices like that. And in some ways, it's better than Peggle. It's missing that polish, but the way that the powers change the gameplay is like a more compelling experience.
It's like where Peggle would be if they kept releasing a Peggle every other year.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like PopCap makes these franchises, and then they just don't do the things that you want to do with them and like continue to grow them.
Well, they'll release
someone at PopCap should have said, "Hey, we should make Peggle into an RPG," and then just shout down all the people saying you're crazy and do it anyway. But they didn't, so this other developer did.
God, I need to get inside PopCap. I want to understand what's going on with that studio. There's the Garden Warfare stuff I totally get, but that studio had a bizarre heyday, and it's just been fizzling out for the last 10 years.
When you infiltrate them, Hanson, please scream at them why they haven't released Bookworm on Android.
Well, I don't know if they'll hear me because I'm sure the crowd's going to be chanting Bookworm on Android around me, so my voice will just be lost in the sea.
I was cheering that for 10 years at Game Informer. In every post I did about PopCap, I included that, and they're just not listening.
Remember,
they've blocked me from their emails.
Of Bookworm, Hanson. It's a great game.
I'm sure it's great.
I'm writing down what happened to PopCap in my video essay document.
I've been tempted to do something bigger with that for sure. I think it's a really interesting story. Remember when they published other indie games, and the first one, I think it was the first one they released, was called Unpleasant Horse. Brilliant.
Well, that's a good name.
It's it's up there with Yeti Train, which is a game they never released. Anyways, hey, did you all look at this gigantic leak from Nintendo, which has been dubbed
Gigaleak, you might
the
call it.
Gigaleak? So this has a story to it. Seems like it started on 4chan. This huge dump of Nintendo old assets, dev history stuff, emails, slideshows, just a crazy treasure trove of Nintendo development secrets suddenly popped up on 4chan. And Vice had a very interesting article about it. I think Patrick Klepek wrote it. Just chronicling that idea of it just being dumped. And then people were like, is this really what I think it is? I guess I'll start looking through it. It's kind of a scary link to click on. And then just slowly realizing, oh my God, this is everything. Very clearly illegally stolen. So it's a weird thing to talk about. You would have wished that Nintendo released this officially, of course. But at the same time, it's so fascinating, and you so rarely get insight into Nintendo's development like this that it's just, you gotta look at it, right?
You gotta laugh.
You gotta laugh.
They said like terabytes of information, the size of the leak.
Yeah. Leo, did you look at this stuff at all?
I haven't looked at it. I heard about it.
Okay, there's stuff that's like boiled up to, the meme space already, and it's kind of being filtered out in different ways. So they had like early builds of Pokemon Pearl and Diamond, and I saw that people started becoming obsessed with like the placeholder art for Arceus, who in the world of Pokemon is like the god. Literally God in the world of Pokemon is Arceus, and the placeholder art for this thing is just like this freaky, janky looking brown turd. It's very funny to see. And it's interesting, like in the Vice article, they talk about the leak of this Pokemon and how it compares to, they had that early version of Pokemon Gold and Silver that leaked a couple of years ago as well, which I know that Game Freak is allergic to the concept of. They take this stuff very seriously, as they should. But apparently there is a large community called the Proto-Pokemon community. And there's been warring factions with that community about who's leaking what, where these leaks are coming from. But on the Pokemon front, in that dump, there is like a PowerPoint presentation from 2004, 2005, where Game Freak was talking about creating an online Pokemon game for the IQ, which is Nintendo's Chinese console. I don't know if you've seen this thing. Just a bizarre choice, but it was about hooking up your GBA to your PC, and then certain regions would be online. It's just a cool pitch to see. I'm sure it was pitched once and then quickly forgotten about. But Kyle, did you look into the Nintendo leak?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sites that are rounding them up well. Like Kotaku just has a good, hey, here's a bunch of stuff. And the stuff that was really appealing to me is seeing stuff that is just like burned into my brain that I know really well from playing over and over as a kid, and seeing it in a new light. Like one is all the audio files from Star Fox 64 are available uncompressed. So like you can hear all those lines of dialogue without any filters on them at all. And it's so weird to hear a human being saying, like, do a barrel roll.
You can hear so Slippy breathe. Like,
it's so weird.
Hey, I'm on your side. It's like, that's just a person in a room. That's not Slippy. Yeah.
And then the other one that was just like, oh my God, this it just breaks my brain to look at, was like an early, I don't know, early might not even be the right term because it seemed pretty far along in development, but Yoshi's Island, Super Mario World 2.
Yeah.
An early version of it where they had like a different opening level, different art style, slightly like the background of the map was much more active. And then there were things like the cursor to throw eggs could actually lock onto enemies and was much larger. And there was like all this UI on the bottom of the screen that didn't make it to the final game. Like that kind of stuff, like it would just breaks my brain because I'm like, I know that game so well. To see this like weird early version of it is so strange.
And did you see how deep that rabbit hole went for Yoshi's Island in particular? Because they call it at some point, I love this, they called it Super Mario Brothers 5 Yoshi's Island.
Yeah.
Just such an awesome, weird framing for all those people. They're like, Yoshi's Island, barely a Nintendo game. I guess it's a Mario game. And now it's like, it was almost called Super Mario Brothers 5. Or at some point in the development, they called it that. But then they had an early build of it as well that was just called Super Donkey. I don't know if you saw this one, Kyle, but it has...
I don't think I saw that one.
It's insane. See, a lot of the stuff is getting mixed with kind of like fan-made stuff, but this was in a roundup at least. So it's called Super Donkey. It was an early version of Yoshi's Island where it didn't even have Yoshi as the protagonist. The art kind of looked similar to Yoshi's Island and some of the platforms and stuff like that, but the protagonist was like this weirdo guy in like a pilot suit, and he's like grabbing onto ledges and launching himself around. And people are theorizing that maybe that was Jumpman. Like that was Nintendo's idea of bringing back Jumpman from Donkey Kong, except it's not Mario. It is this weird pilot freak.
You said Super Donkey is what it was called?
Yeah, Kyle, just go ahead and turn your safe search off and just Google Super Donkey.
Okay.
I got nothing for that.
Well, that's not it. I just want to see what this thing looks like.
Yeah. You can't find
the
it
other
either?
one.
Maybe it was a fever dream.
The other big one was they found a Luigi character model for Super Mario 64.
Right.
Which is kind of wild,
Yeah, so it seems like he was in there in some way for Mario 64. Just cool alternate enemies for Mario 64 as well that weren't in the final game. Like that was, it's a good sign when this dump is so interesting that some of the least interesting stuff is like, they had new items and stuff in Mario Kart 64 they never used, or new enemies in this game that weren't used. But
a different theme song for Mario Kart as well. Super Mario.
That's right. Yeah,
was one of them. And also the original design for Yoshi was terrifying.
Yeah, that's
Did you see that? Like super skinny kind of bird beak Yoshi.
It was like a emaciated Yoshi or something.
Not a fan.
Yeah,
no.
It looked like in Mario Maker that freaky poison mushroom lanky ass Mario that's just terrifying. It looked like that version but applied to Yoshi.
Yeah.
But then it was fun because they also had alternate Mario World stuff with just like different sprites, evolutions of Mario sprites for Mario World. It's just a fascinating look at how a game that iconic can come to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They proved once and for all that Mario is actually punching Yoshi in the back of the head because one of the early sprite animations was much more graphic with the punching lines coming off of it. And there was a Grandpa Yoshi, which was very cute. He had a big beard.
I didn't see that one. Grandpa.
And apparently I think it was Super Mario World, but Luigi had a middle finger sprite.
Yeah.
Which some people were saying that in Japanese sign language that's the symbol for brother, but it could also just be the middle finger.
I love that.
Double meaning.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not, I'm not going to hold Nintendo accountable for this, but I love just like those ounces of personality. Like apparently in the Link to the Past source code, just the F words in there. And it's like, all right, who knows why, but sure.
Yeah, and some of that also came out with like the emails and programming notes back and forth to one another between programmers and stuff. Some of it was very not safe for work.
Yes.
But it was, 30 years ago.
Kyle, I will send you, I'll post it in Slack, this insane thing of the donkey from...
I found it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Because he looks kind of like a Rayman a little bit.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
There's another... Maybe we can come back to this later, but like there was... And I bring it up because maybe you know, Hanson. There was a time where Miyamoto referenced, like, he said Mario and Sonic were the best platformers, but there was a third one that he really felt strongly about that ended up not being very popular, but it had that sort of Rayman style of like the limbs that don't connect that kind of looks like Super Donkey.
Balls,
but I don't remember the name of the game.
Vector Man?
No, it was like in the sort of SNES era. I will see, maybe I can find it later and we can talk about it.
Okay.
But it's reminiscent of that third game that he talked about. It kind of reminds me of that.
Jeff, on the Mario World front, did you see that Donkey Kong was originally in Mario World? Or at least there was a sprite for him. And the cool thing is, it's a really cool design, and he has the tie, which you think like, oh, I thought that would just be a rare thing. But I love that even back for Mario World, they said like, well,
there you go.
Donkey Kong's got to have a tie now, and then that carried over into eventually Donkey Kong Country.
And then Rare got all the credit for it.
That's right, the brilliance of the tie.
Right.
Yep.
But Kyle, there was some interesting Zelda stuff in there. Like people saw that
Some disk drive stuff, right? Like the dolphin kind of, yeah.
Yes, those Ocarina of Time, like early footage where they said that originally there was going to be the 64DD update to Ocarina of Time was going to add new temples and stuff, and some of those builds and assets are out there. Apparently Majora's Mask originally had 7 days instead of 3.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. A week,
Right. And just to clear up any confusion, also, they had like Link to the Past sprites, and it's very clear that Link has pink hair. I know there's always been confusion about that. We even, in the Rapid Fire, I think, asked the director of Link to the Past, so he does have Link hair, right? And he's like, I don't remember. But I wish, God, I mean, this is going to be 5-alarm fire if anybody ever tries it, but I hope at some point somebody from the press is able to ask somebody from Nintendo about some of these early assets. I'm sure there's going to be like brick wall, we don't talk about that. But can you imagine how many memories it would spark if you actually showed Tezuka or Miyamoto some of these old sprites and early versions of things? I'm sure they don't even remember what this stuff was like.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, they will probably never acknowledge it, which is like such a bummer, but...
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think I told the story before, but I tried to acknowledge those early versions of Gold and Silver to Game Freak during the Rapid Fire, and they literally would not look at my phone. Like it was bizarre, but like we cannot acknowledge that we've seen that at any point. Yeah. But Dylan Cuthbert, who worked at Argonauts, Star Fox designer, worked on Star Fox 2. They had a bunch of weird early Star Fox 2 art where there was like a human involved and a bunch of other just freaky characters.
That is so weird.
And they had a bunch of Argonauts emails going back and forth, arguing about porn in the office that you're getting at, I believe, Jeff. It's just a bizarre time capsule. But then the fun thing that Dylan Cuthbert did tweet about is he's like, oh my God, somebody unearthed this old modding tool used to help develop Star Fox 2 that I have not seen for 30 years. He's like, he had no idea it even existed anywhere. And the idea that Nintendo had held on to all of this stuff is almost a good sign for historians. The idea that these archives are much, much more detailed than we could hope for, even if they're under that Nintendo lock and key.
Yeah, and that his messages also kind of helped verify for people that this was, because there was speculation at first of whether this leak was real or not, even though how are you going to fake a terabyte of, design documents and source code and stuff like that.
We re-recorded Slippy's lines with perfect audio quality.
The actor who played Peppy passed away recently, but luckily we got him right before.
Oh boy. So it's Nintendo Gigaleak. Be careful, search around for that stuff. Nintendo's ready to crack down on everybody left and right, but fascinating insight.
Yes, but we should also say that Cuthbert also pointed out that, like, hey, how would you like it if I went and read your childhood diary? Because one of the things that was posted was apparently literally someone's diary. Like they had like computer, like a computerized version of a diary that they kept with like personal stuff in it, and all of that is also included in this leak. And so
it's all stuff that was always presumed to be private from all the people, like emails and stuff. So there is certainly some privacy issues related to it. Yeah.
What do you think Miyamoto's reaction was to this, Kyle? Do you think he threw a vase against the wall?
He's capable of anger. Hey, he smiles a lot, but he can get mad.
He's capable of anger. Quite the psychologist over there, Kyle. My God.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, you wanted to talk about the messenger. You said, don't end this podcast until I've just said everything I can about the messenger.
I brought up that I was playing the messenger yesterday, and you all laughed in my face.
That's right.
I was some
because we played it like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it just came out on Xbox for the first time 3 days ago, okay? That's when I played it.
I think it came to Game Pass. I think it's been out for a while, right?
That's what Wikipedia said. I went straight. Right. I went straight and checked the release date after that conversation because it was so harmful to me. I was like, what am I? But yeah, it's great. If people haven't heard of it, like me, it's basically like an old school Ninja Gaiden.
Wait, real quick before you continue, I want to ask you.
Yes.
Did you know the twist?
I saw a message about it. Yes.
Okay.
But
so you knew that at least going into it.
Yes, but I didn't. Okay. I didn't fully know because the pre-twist I thought already looked kind of like what they were teasing at with post-twist, which has made this conversation impossible to follow.
It was part of the marketing. It's not anything we need to dance around. I suppose it couldn't hurt if you haven't played the messenger at this point. Like, it would be nice to go in blind. But there is a nice little twist partway through that game.
Yeah, and the thing that's cool about it is that it does evolve the gameplay a lot. It's not just a 16-hour recreation of those old Ninja Gaiden style action platformers, but they do a lot of interesting stuff with it, and it kept me going the entire way.
Do you want to stream it with Dan Reichert?
Is he doing that?
No, just to get back to your wonderful Ninja Gaiden times?
So he can scream at me about the frickin' hawks as they attack. They do have like skeleton buzzards, buzzards, right? That's the word.
Yeah, they like Carrion.
They act very much like the hawks in Ninja Gaiden, but I would say that it controls much better than the old Ninja. People don't recognize that part of the reason that those old Ninja Gaiden games were so hard was just because the controls were crap, and it was really frustrating and unfair how it worked. But this one plays very nicely. I think that it tells a very goofy story, but it's a lot of fun, and I actually appreciated the sense of humor of it because it doesn't take itself super seriously. So, and it is, as we said, on Game Pass now, so you can check it out.
Why is it Messenger and not Messenger?
I was thinking that as I was playing through it because they kept on saying, "Oh yeah, he's the guy who has the message," and I was like, "What? How did that word ever get changed to Messenger?" It's very confusing. Also, I should say that there is a free DLC out for it that adds like some kind of summer expansion pack thing.
There we go. I wonder if America Online still owns Messenger. There's got to be some confusing Messenger rights out there, right?
Yeah, Facebook Messenger.
Yeah. Who owns America Online?
America.
Every now and then I still see an email that's an @AOL.com.
Really?
So apparently
There
someone's...
was a prominent game developer I remember setting up interviews with who had an @AOL.com email address I was very surprised about.
You can say their name. You're not giving out their exact email address. Who is it?
Oh, sure. It was Edmund McMillan.
Oh, interesting.
It's like, all right. He got back to me very quickly. Still checks that AOL inbox. Good for
How
him.
does a guy that in tune with the internet still use AOL? Is it like
It's
kitschy at that
ironic.
point?
It makes you think we're doing something wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I literally had this thought, I think last week. Tell me if I'm out of my mind, but I'm like, it'd be an interesting interview for MinnMax interviews. We have a new one coming up Monday, which is very interesting, by the way. But would it be interesting to talk to like the lead marketing person who's been there the longest for Hotmail? Like, what is their job like? Well, are they just sitting down at a desk every day, like, hey, we got to convert people to Hotmail? Like, good luck. Don't you want to know if they have a strategy?
Yeah.
I admit some curiosity now that you brought it up. Yeah.
All right. So if you work for Hotmail, please reach out to me at Hanson@MinnMax.com.
So just to be clear, your premise for this interview is to talk to someone and have them justify their job to you.
That's right. And then I rip off my mask.
And the whole
I'm
of the
their boss.
internet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it works, yeah. Hey, one more quick thing that caught my eye on the internet this week is Mike Laidlaw, who's the creative director for Dragon Age. For years and years, he left BioWare and he went to Ubisoft eventually to work on a mysterious project with Ubisoft Quebec. And Jason Schreier, friend of the show over at Bloomberg, he had a big write-up just about what that project was, because apparently it is now dead. But interesting to know that at some point here within Ubisoft, he was developing an RPG that was surrounding the King Arthur myth. And it was called Avalon, one of my favorite board games of all time. And so here's a description from Jason Schreier over there. It's, Avalon was a cooperative multiplayer title planned as a full fantasy adventure with swords and sorcery at the forefront. Laidlaw and his team tried to salvage the game over 2019, pitching more science fiction and Greek mythology-focused versions, but those ideas were shot down too. And eventually the project was canceled, which is sad to see. But it's interesting to see Ubisoft at least interested in making a large RPG, probably akin to a Dragon Age, right? But the part I can't get over is that in 2019, they pitched pivoting to make it more Greek mythology focused. Like, after Odyssey and while Gods and Monsters are being developed, where they're just like, what is Ubisoft like? What's the safest bet? Look, we'll do your whole Greek mythology thing. Just please let it happen.
Well, yeah, I think part of it is, I don't know if it was in that article or not, but one of the reasons that they ran into so many problems was because the creative director, I believe at the time at Ubisoft, just hated fantasy. And so he was like continually shutting down this team and telling them that, it has to be better than Tolkien if you're going to do fantasy. And apparently he was also responsible for saying things like women in games don't sell. And so he was also one who has recently been ousted with all of the, harassment problems that they've had over there.
Right.
So,
kind of an old friend of the family's, because, there's an interesting article, again, from Bloomberg a couple weeks ago, outlining what's going on at Ubisoft and, starting with multiple brothers leading that show, how it all filtered down. But it's that tough thing of, some people even wrote in last week, and I'm sorry we didn't get to the questions, asking about what should our takeaway be? Should we be not excited about Ubisoft games going forward due to all these harassment stories coming out of Ubisoft? And that's a tough call you have to make on your own, but it seems like from the outside at least that Ubisoft is trying to do a couple of steps in the right direction. They've let some people go. People have stepped down. Guillemot, head of the company, but he's saying like, hey, we're really committed to reforming this thing to make it better. So at least there's been some actions taken to improve the company overall. Yeah,
that's I think the tough thing of, these problems come out, the company does stuff to try and at least address them. Then it feels kind of weird to be like, well, now we're boycotting you.
Right.
Like, well, at this point, what could they do if taking actions is just going to lead to further boycotts or not help with the boycotts? Then, and also boycotts probably don't do much to begin with. But by all, certainly continue to put pressure on these kind of companies and make sure that they're being held accountable and that at least they know that the community is watching these kind of problems. And so hopefully that also empowers the developers at Ubisoft to speak out if they do continue seeing problems like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leo, are you wearing a Funko Land t-shirt?
From the Andy McNamara collection.
Oh, really? Did you buy that? Did you bid
No,
on
there
that?
were a bunch left over. This is one of the free ones I got.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
because there were like a
awesome.
bunch of like Game Informer specific bundles and stuff when we auctioned off for Extra Life last year. How often do you wear your Final Fantasy VII shirt, by the way, Leo?
Not very often.
For everybody listening, Leo last year bid himself on a Final Fantasy VII polo, like original Final Fantasy VII, which is like this big baggy white polo. Then it's has a no fear label on the sleeve, which is about the funniest thing you could wear.
No fear. Turns out it irritates the nipple. The way the pocket is placed with a zipper, there's very little protection between your nipple
Hey, man,
and that zipper.
that's what the
one.
no fear label's for, Leo.
Yeah, that's really
Some
tough.
Just
fear.
got to work through that nipple paint.
Yeah.
God, Leo, you recently tweeted out an old video that you made from like 2017 where it's a review of Sexy Brutale. Incredibly funny. May I spoil a little bit of that premise, or I'll just
Sure.
keep it ambiguous? In that video, well, basically in the video, you find out that you're basically immortal in a twist of twist, that you're stuck in a Groundhog Day type loop. It's very Palm Springs. And then it just made me laugh so much. Sitting in the MinnMax studio, I just could not stop laughing at this idea where one of the first things you do is you call up the police. Did you watch this, Kyle?
A long time ago, I remember watching it. I don't remember this gag, but I remember
You
watching
call
that.
up the police and you say, "Hello, police? That's right. I'm back. It's John Wayne Gacy." And then they come and shoot you. I just love that idea of repeatedly calling the police. It said, "I'm back. John Wayne Gacy here." That is the funniest thing you could do, Leo.
Thank you. Yeah, I was surprised how much I liked that video. Looking back.
Holds up well. Hey, anyways, Leo, do you know how this whole Patreon operates?
Viewers like you?
That's right. Patreon supporters like you. Thank you for everybody that has helped build MinnMax into what it is today, for allowing Leo to be brought on board, everything like this. We appreciate it. Go over to patreon.com/MinnMax2ends. Support us at any tier. There's some good benefits waiting for you, including a revitalized, revolutionized, dare I say, $10 tier coming next week. So please keep your eye on that one.
Be the first of your friends to do it before you even know what's going to be good about it.
That would be a very cool move. I think there's already hundreds of people that do it, but still, you can tell all your friends that you're the first one to do it.
Right.
Also, it is the last week, so if you want to have your picture on the wall of heroes behind us, you can support us this week real quick, and then you could be on throughout all of August. The $50 tier, you can get your name in the description. We'll read your name on every episode of the MinnMax show as well. I should say, at that $50 tier, we record a custom private thank you video where you can let us know what you'd like us to say. Kyle has agreed that at that $50 tier, he will sing any song from Hamilton.
Yeah, totally.
That really seems fantastic.
There was one that after I very excitedly agreed to that, I went back and I was like, wait, actually, maybe not this one. And you're like, too late.
Oh,
Try and guess what it is.
Okay, I guess we won't focus on it too much just in case people pick it. But also, yeah, there's the tier for a plug on the podcast. If you'd like a plug in every episode of the MinnMax show, just let us know. You can be a huge supporter. Also, speaking of plug, you can check out MinnTracks this week, our standalone music podcast hosted by Matt Helgeson. Matthew Cotto is on this week, who left Game Informer at the same time as Leo. So it'll be fun to hear Cotto talk with Helgeson. Those two worked together for 15 years, more than 15 years. That's going to be a fun dynamic to have talking about music, which is something I've never heard before.
Have you revealed what the albums are going to be?
Thanks for calling me out. Yeah, but I didn't recognize either of them, so I don't remember what they are now.
Is one the Smiths?
No, it's not. You thought Cotto would go for that?
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think...
I'm excited to find out.
He had rotating desktop backgrounds of like old album covers. He's a big music.
Maybe he was trying to surprise Helgeson, and they'll save it for a follow-up episode, maybe. But
It's another Weird Al episode, isn't it?
We can't get enough of the Weird Al. I really wanted to on that Hamilton episode of MinnTracks, by the way. I wanted just to play the entire Weird Al polka parody of Hamilton and just like let it run, but like I can't just play a 30-second clip or a minute clip. Like it would have to be 6 minutes of us listening to that because it is so good. Anyways, thanks to Bambox for being a MinnMax supporter. They say, all right, MinnMaxers, orders for GamerBox number 1 closed July 15th, and we hope you didn't miss out as we were able to get one of the rarest voice actors in all of gaming in that box. But we decided to let you guys be the first to hear about the new franchises for box number 2. If you've never grabbed a Bambox before, well, we're not called the ultimate collector's experience for nothing. Your membership gets you a box that contains exclusive art, collector's pins, replica props, and of course, a celebrity autograph certified by Beckett. Gamer Box number 2 will contain collectible items for Resident Evil, Battletoads, Final Fantasy VII, and more. The box also comes with a guaranteed signed Funko Pop. You can grab yours now at thebambox.com. Boxes start at $30 and are limited to just $2,500 each. By joining, you'll also become a member of our exclusive community full of geeks, gamers, and horror fanatics, where there's always something going on. Because at BAM, we're more than just a box. Isn't that right, Jeffem? Because at BAM,
we're more than just a box.
Beautiful. We can't wait to meet you. Thank you so much for your support, Bambox. We appreciate it. BeatenDownBrian, thank you for your support. BeatenDownBrian says, if we have any fans of sim racing, or more specifically the Dirt Rally series, and you would like to see someone tackle the top leaderboard times, then check out my channel, BeatenDownBrian on YouTube. I don't post videos that regularly, but there's a backlog of over 60 runs to check out, and I promise that you'll be mildly entertained. Hell yeah, BeatenDownBrian.
Good
Thanks for your
plug.
support. One of
I
the
like that he's
greatest.
honest, too. That's what's important.
That's very important. Also, thanks to I Am 8-Bit for their huge support of MinnMax overall. You can help support them by going to their online store and buying anything and using the promo code for 10% off, MinnMax Show. No longer MinnMax. They changed it because it got out on Reddit. So MinnMax Show is the new promo code for 10% off. So please remember that. But I Am 8-Bit
And
wants
don't
you to
post
know.
it on Reddit.
Yes, please don't. Be cool, everybody. This is kind of like our secret deal.
Be cool.
Be cool. But I Am 8-Bit is selling the Untitled Goose Game vinyl soundtrack and also the game on PS4 and Switch. And you can only get this at iam8bit.com. So if you're a fan of Untitled Goose Game, definitely check this out. It's very cool. The vinyl soundtrack and the actual game cases are fully recycled, made of 100% recyclable material. And the final soundtrack in particular, you never know what color it's going to be because it's recycled. It's just like talk about a cool custom piece of art. You know, you can frame that album on a wall, and it's helping the environment. So please check that out and support I Am 8-Bit for us. All right, y'all. We have a bunch of questions. A lot of people wrote in at patreon.com/MinnMax2ends. If you support us at any tier, you can submit a comment or a question. We're going to choose your number 1 favorite, and then I Am 8-Bit will ship out something very nice to them. Leo, what do you think we should give away this week, man?
$1 million cash.
That's right. I Am
They gotta
8-Bit
do it
has
now.
promised that they're giving away... Oh, I'm sorry. There's a typo. They're giving away the Battletoads vinyl soundtrack.
Valued at...
South of $1 million, but that's included in the description, and that's important. I forget if I have that back here, but yes, so our favorite comment or question will be shipped out the Battletoads vinyl soundtrack, which, by the way, that was a fun, weird thing in that Xbox showcase during that Grounded trailer.
Oh, yeah.
They just had like a big Battletoads Easter egg out in the yard. It's like, oh, what a weird thing to see
and-
Obsidian include a Battletoads Easter egg.
And no reference of that Battletoads game whatsoever. That just occurred to me.
That is odd. It's been radio silent for a while. I'm still confused about who the team is that's making that thing.
Because I think Rare is credited as the developer when you look it up, but I don't think that's true.
Someone
I
should tell
think-
them.
But yeah,
This was due a year ago.
but yeah, the Grounded game came out in early access on Steam and Xbox today. If you're listening on Wednesday, I checked at the beginning. It seems like it's pretty similar to the demo they released a while ago. That was a time demo and stuff, but now it has voices and stuff. Survival game from Obsidian's an interesting combo. But Leo, you played a lot of that. What's your take on Grounded? Yay? Nay?
Yay! Yeah, it was a
Yay.
Game Informer cover. They sent us a build. It was one of, early in quarantine, so we're figuring out how to do remote cover trips, and we got to get a ton of gameplay out of that. And it's fun. They are fans of survival games, and they know the quality of life features you want and how you want it to feel when you're blueprinting your base and building it up and everything. And it's smart, and there's like some impressive bones to it. As far as physics and everything, you can kind of run along the top of grass stalks, but a spider could hit the bottom of the grass and knock it down, and you tip over and go fall into the ground. It's well put together.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's good to hear.
Did you, Leo or Hanson, did you mess with the spider scariness slider?
So you can turn off the spiders in the game, so they're just kind of weirdo creatures. Yeah.
Well, the way it works is it's like a slider that as you like creep down the slider, it slowly removes elements of the spider. And if you turn it all the way down, it just becomes 2 white balls with like glowing red eyes, which I had it turned all the way down, and I found one just in a cave, and it would just look like 2 big marbles, and I was like, oh, can I pick this up? And then it like came to life and started like coming after me with red eyes, and it was like equally as terrifying as if it had just been a spider.
Yeah, it turns out it's not the look of the spider, it's the mentality of the spider that's the most terrifying at its core.
Yeah. But I do like that they have that as a feature. Like, it's, when you start, it's like, by the way, if you're scared of spiders, go ahead and head to the options menu and turn that sucker down.
Yeah, interestingly, that was like one of the only cuts they wanted us to make from our footage, or things to not include, was like that arachnophobia stuff, because it was early, and they're still trying to figure out how to make it palatable to people, but any shade of it is still very eerie.
Yeah. That's one of those things where I just think, it must be like Fergus at the top, right? Head of the studio. Somebody in the studio at a high up position must be scared of spiders, because I think it's an odd stance to be like, this is 5-alarm fire, this is a big deal.
It was a big social media thing. Like, people were genuinely upset. They're like, this game looks cool. I really hate spiders though.
Really?
And like, I don't, and it became like a little bit of a meme, to a certain degree, of people not wanting spiders in the game. So they responded.
Interesting. Hey, Charles Bean writes in, and he says, "What's up, bro He-Myths? I can't see how Microsoft can keep being profitable from Xbox Game Pass. Do you guys see it going away in the future, or perhaps raising the price by a significant amount with all the games and features like xCloud being added? The future of Game Pass."
No one doing those subscriptions is making any money, right? Netflix, Amazon Prime. It's like they put way more money into getting people to use it than they get out of it, I feel like, at this point.
Is that just kind of a Silicon Valley mentality that Microsoft is absorbing here? Just like, let's just get the users, we'll figure out all the other stuff later.
Yeah, it's Uber, it's, consoles selling at a loss, making it back in software sales. It's like, we need to charge this what people will pay for it, and then we get them in our ecosystem, and then we make money off them later. But I think they're not making money off it, and that's not their intent right now.
I mean, how much is it a year exactly? Like, how much are you paying a year for it? Because it's like
10 a month?
It's like around 70 or 80, right?
That sounds about right.
Like, if you're a normal Xbox 360 gamer, like average, I think that's about how much you were spending on games every year. Like, Microsoft might have been pumping that stuff out, but maybe you only bought Halo, or maybe you only bought Gears. Like, I haven't sat down and done the math, but it feels pretty sustainable to me. Like, I don't know. I would imagine. I mean, Amazon's getting into the game, so maybe they're struggling with it a little bit. But like, Netflix has to be making insane money at this point. I would assume, right?
You would assume.
Yes.
I don't know. Are you looking up profits right now, Leo?
Yes.
So it's $15 a month, by the way, for Ultimate on everything here. That is including the gold and everything there.
I mean, every time Netflix has a big hit, they say, like, look, this is how many people had watched it. Now translate that number to if people had gone and seen it in theaters, which is totally 1-to-1 and a totally valid way.
Everybody would have ran out to watch Palm Springs in theaters. Yeah.
50 billion people watched that Kurt Russell Santa Claus movie. Can you imagine if we had released that in theaters?
Yeah, people would have been like, they would have to blow out new windows on the sides of theaters just so people in the parking lot can look through to see Kurt Russell as Santa Claus.
At the same time, though, that's still 50 billion people who are paying them, $10 a month.
Absolutely.
So I think that's how it works. And
it's more like 1 million people sharing accounts, but that's semantics.
That is true. So I don't think you can do that with. I don't think you can get away with that with Game Pass, though. And that is kind of the hope that I have for why it would be sustainable, because Netflix will drop $200 million on a movie. So why can't developers, spend even, much less than that on a game and then still make that profitable, or at least it's profitable for Microsoft.
Yeah.
I don't know. It will come down to what kind of deals they're making with third parties and stuff. But
so to Charles's point, I mean, do you think they're going to be raising the price in the future? Or do you think as it stands, it's going to be sustainable?
I think it'll creep up over time, but sustainable, I think. Yeah.
I think they'll have to keep it where it is now, at least for the launch of the Xbox. I feel like you have to get the giant mass of people all subscribed to it first before you can start inching it up.
Right.
Also like the Netflix model.
Yeah. Tom Blackburn wrote and says, I have a bold claim. The concept of replay value dies with Game Pass. Replay value contradicts the value of being able to play lots of games because any extra time spent in one game reduces the amount of time you can play another. Touché, Tom. So my question is, how else does Game Pass change game design in the future? It's tough. I guess just for first-party stuff, do you think there's any impact here?
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that thought of his, but at the same time, that's how a developer gets you to actually also go out and buy the game once it leaves Game Pass. So I don't know that also, still adding a bunch of replay value to your game exactly hurts it from a developer's perspective.
Right.
Do we have any insight into how a game is sort of rewarded for being on Game Pass? Like, do they get a bonus if a certain number of people play? Is it based on hours played? Is that not a factor at all? Is it just a flat fee?
It's the same debate as Apple Arcade, Like, it seems like it was leaning towards hours played with Apple Arcade, but I don't know if that stuff has gotten out. It seems like it's just a big lump sum.
Yeah.
Kind of like
it's... just thinking of MinnMax recently, the most recent episode before Kato, Helgeson was talking about how streaming has changed the way artists produce albums.
Yeah.
Like now they are more interested in making longer songs and longer albums to beef up those play times.
Right.
Because that equates to profit for musicians now. The longer you listen to their albums on Spotify, the more money they make, as one example. But I don't know if there's a similar factor with... Game Pass. I know that with Leo, help me out. What was the streaming service?
On Live.
They based like money for the developers based on hours played. Like they were able to work out that math. So like if that had become popular, it would have been really, developers would have been encouraged to make longer and longer and replayable games.
Good news for developers. They already figured that out and are making every game 100 hours.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, it's a good question, but I think it will change things, but it's hard to say how now.
Yeah, I mean, it almost frees them up, kind of the Double Fine idea of the reason Microsoft would want Double Fine is they have a lot of smaller games in their backlog. They're capable of, maybe after Psychonauts 2, releasing a bunch of games that's just like, oh, new Double Fine game. It's reasonable to expect that once a year, if they stay kind of in their Amnesia Fortnite style split teams project development. And so it's not game design necessarily, but I think it affects scope of games where now it's sustainable to be like, oh, well, we'll just put it in the catalog and Game Pass. It'll be a nice bow in the quiver.
Feather in the cap.
There it is. Thank you. Anyways, Dylan Greenfield writes in and says, hey guys, what next generation game has you the most impressed on a technical level? What I mean is, what game so far has made you think, wow, they couldn't do this on PS4, Xbox One? For example, The Medium on the Xbox Series X is my choice.
I just like a game being so impressive that it turns you into Owen Wilson.
Wow.
That's what every publisher is looking for.
Does Unreal Engine 5 count as a thing that we've seen?
That's an interesting point. I guess we can count it.
We probably shouldn't, but
Not
I guess
a game, but yeah.
I guess the Medium, if it works the way that that the trailers have worked, if it can actually do that in real time. And
so just for a breakdown here, this is the Bloober Team horror game that seems very inspired by Silent Hill. I think they have the composer from Silent Hill working on it. It seems like you can shift between dimensions, a spooky one and a pristine one or something like that.
Yeah, which their description on Xbox did call that out specifically of like solving dual reality puzzles or something like that. So.
Yeah. But I mean, is it that crazy? I mean, we're doing that in Titanfall 2's campaign. Being able to switch between two environments.
Yeah, but if it's the whole world, like fitting two game worlds, I guess, on a disc and being able to flip back and forth between them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's interesting.
I mean, mine, for me, like, honestly, the only game that I've seen that I'm like, oh, I don't think that could be done on PlayStation 4 is Ratchet & Clank.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like, that's the one for me. Even though it's, like, graphically, it seems like it could work on a PS4. Like, the mechanics of jumping between dimensions immediately, like... That's the most impressive thing I've seen from PlayStation 5, personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the idea of swinging faster in Spider-Man, like being able to stream a world in faster. That's cool to me.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that'd be interesting. I mean, but if it releases on PS4, maybe it won't. Maybe they'll keep it just for PS5, right? But they do that. Maybe one of Miles' powers, he's just faster overall, and then that's based just on the tech of the PS5. That'd be a weird detail. Theodosius. Speaking of Kyle singing Hamilton, you want to kick it off with this one right now?
Dear Thea. Wait, they're writing to us.
Oh,
so we're
I
not
see.
writing to Dear
I
Theodos.
see.
Okay.
But anyways, they say console tribalism has been a thing for a long time. People getting excited over their consoles are all well and good, but I feel like it generates a lot of negativities in a wider gaming community. As gaming journalists, what can you do to combat this? Or should it be left alone?
I think you have to remind everyone that they're corporations. Sure, they're making stuff for the fans, but I mean, they're also making stuff for a profit. So, just keep that in mind.
The thing we've been trying to do for many years that people don't seem to listen to. I think it's more important on the community level, depending on what community you're part of, to kind of call out those kind of arguments when you see them happen. And maybe that's a very MinnMax specific answer, but I think our community is becoming more attuned to not shutting down, conversations and opinions so quickly when people voice something that maybe you don't disagree with. I think everyone has to kind of be more conscious about that, and I think that's one situation where you can call out that kind of behavior and be like, okay, you like Xbox, good for you. You don't have to crap on the Sony fans or vice versa.
Right. I believe it's pronounced Sony Ponies, Jeff. And that's the phrase
Sony
you're looking for.
Ponies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just cool. Who wouldn't want to be a Sony pony?
Oh boy. Look out, YouTube. Here we come. Chris writes in and says, my question is about Cuphead coming to PS4. See, Chris is a very smart person, very well researched, more researched than I am. They say in an interview Ben did at Game Informer a few years ago with Marija, I forget her name, I'm sorry, from MDHR. When asked about exclusivity, she definitely answered that the game would be Xbox console exclusive forever. It's great that Switch and PS4 owners now get to play Cuphead, but do you have any idea what maybe could have changed after giving such a certain answer? I don't remember her being that definitive, but I have no idea. Oh, Kyle's leaning towards money.
It's money.
But it's money in a twisted way, because I'm sure at that point it's just, hey, you have this deal with Microsoft. The messaging is this thing's a console exclusive. They know in the contract that it's timed, but they can't even hint at that idea that it is timed. So they just have to say, get it on Xbox.
Yeah, it could also be that at that point they had no interest in bringing it to other consoles. Like when you work on something for so many years, maybe you're just like, this is what our contract is. We don't necessarily, or the contract could have changed, or Microsoft could have said, hey, you know what, we don't care at this point, go ahead. But
I don't think they were lying at the time.
Yeah.
I think it was Xbox exclusive at the time, but the contract changed and Microsoft was more open to other platforms.
Contract changed is your theory? That seems nuts.
Why? We change our contracts here at MinnMax every 3 months. It's not that weird.
Wait, you really think a game like Cuphead, the contract is it's going to expire? It seems like the deal would be, here's a contract that's going to have timed exclusivity.
I think
Their priorities
Microsoft
have changed.
Yeah, I think Microsoft's priorities have changed, and they went to Studio MDHR and be like, hey, this was an element of the contract. We're voiding that now. You guys are welcome to release it on other platforms if you'd like.
Why would Microsoft do that?
Because money.
Who's paying them?
They're publishing it. They published it on Switch.
Really?
Yeah. You don't think they get a cut of that PlayStation 4 sales?
I don't know.
I think they give it to charity.
That's a smart idea. Hang on. So really, even the PS4 version of Cuphead is published by Microsoft still?
I don't know about that, but it never occurred to me that Microsoft wouldn't be getting some portion of that money.
I did not think they were.
They must.
Do you think? If you work at Studio MDHR, please write in and let us know.
Yeah, send us the contract so we can look over it.
Yeah. I think it's more likely that it's just timed exclusive, and in the contract it says you are not allowed to mention the fact that this is timed. So after this number of years.
I swear I saw another PC Gamer article where they specifically said it's never coming out to PS4.
That is weird.
I don't know if that was a direct quote or if they were just spinning that off of their own speculation from something else, but
Bizarre. But did anybody watch that Jeff Keighley announcement of Cuphead coming to PS4?
No, I watched the trailer, though. The trailer's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a different type of animation. It's like stop motion, which is cool. But yeah, God, I wish I could remember her name because she was so nice and she sent us so many things for Extra Life. But Marija Moldenhauer, she was interviewed by Jeff Keighley, and they were talking about the Cuphead DLC. That Lady Chalice, is that what it's called?
I believe so, yeah.
And they have just been mum on that for years since they announced it. And the way she was talking about it, she was framing it very much like, well, we're not ready to say anything yet, but we really want fans to be surprised when they see it again. And so I think somebody wrote in about it a while ago, but it seems like it's hinting towards that idea of when they show new Cuphead stuff, that DLC will have kind of morphed into its own game, or Cuphead 2 at this point. It seems like it's ticking that way with her trying to save this big announcement, whatever it could be for this DLC that we've already seen.
Like a Hollow Knight situation.
Yeah.
Maybe Microsoft made the exclusive rights for Cuphead 2, and part of the negotiation was that they could release Cuphead 1 on other platforms.
Ooh, now there's a good idea.
I'm reading that it was Microsoft who approached that team about making the Switch version for sure. From a rumor tweet.
And to put my foot in my mouth, Microsoft did not publish it on Switch. It's a self-published game. And I believe it's self-published on Xbox as well. So my theory is less valid.
Gotcha.
But I still think they're involved in some way. I still think they get some money from that.
Yeah. Leo, actually at GDC, I talked to, was it Jared over there from that studio about that idea of how the whole thing happened. And it was Nintendo. Let's see. Kirk Scott from Nintendo at the time said, hey, we're always trying to get the best content on the platform, so it's organic, like, quote, hey, this would be a great idea. Then somebody at Microsoft says, hey, we think this would be a great idea too. Then they talk to those guys and it just happens. So there was a Nintendo standpoint on how that happened. So it's just people talking, man. Business is loose. Business is cool. Henrik Jacobson says, hey, Ben and the cohorts, what is... Oh, I love this question. I think we've had it before, but it's very fun. Hey, Ben and the cohorts, what is the biggest game franchise you have never even touched? I got to thinking about this during the Xbox presentation when I realized I've never played a single second of Halo. Growing up, my friends and me all just mostly had Nintendo and PlayStation consoles. The only friend I had with an Xbox only bought it to play DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball. Well, we all make mistakes. Okay, biggest franchise in the world that you've never touched for a second. No one's in control.
Kyle?
I feel like mine's pretty big, but it's Warcraft. Never played World of Warcraft, never touched any of the RTSs.
What?
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
I was going to say World of Warcraft, but I've at least played Warcraft 3.
Yeah,
Kyle, that's
Warcraft
stunning.
3. Don't like RTSs. Don't like MMOs.
Well, someday you'll learn to fix half that equation.
Also, I've never touched League of Legends, which is probably bigger than... Is it bigger than World of Warcraft at this point?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, it's free.
Yeah. I think League of Legends is probably my answer as well. It's super exciting. I remember trying MOBAs, but I think it was just like Dota 2 relatively early on. I guess I could look into my account history, but I don't think I've ever touched League of Legends, which has to be number one. But, franchise is a tricky thing. It's fun to think about the big gaming things that have been around for longer.
Yeah, that's tough. I've barely touched The Witcher. I played 30 minutes of The Witcher 2, and that's it.
Disqualified, ma'am. That's like as much as Obama played back when he got that copy when he visited Poland. Another one that sold a bunch. I wanted to say FIFA, but I had a FIFA game for Game Gear. Pro Evo, I've never touched.
Okay.
Here's one that has sold a gazillion copies. WWE 2K, like the wrestling games. I don't think I've ever touched a single one of those.
I played some N64 ones with friends, but that's it.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, maybe just outside of 2K. I don't know if I ever have touched a wrestling game now that I think about it. Yeah.
Oh.
I just love
Def
to
Jam?
dabble.
Yeah, that's the problem. You dabble all your life, you have a good time, then Henrik Jacobson comes with this wham-bammer of a
Haymaker?
question. Total War, I've never touched, which seems like it should be roughly in my wheelhouse. And I don't know if I've played any Counter-Strike.
Really?
Yeah, there's a chance that I've never actually booted up a game, but that's
I think
on
I
the bubble.
played the Xbox or Xbox 360 version for like 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe original
Yeah, that
Xbox.
Xbox one, that was a big deal. That was like Rod Ferguson, I think, was right. Like he
Yep.
got that. That was a big deal at the time. I remember playing that with friends because we're like, this game doesn't belong on consoles, but here it is.
Look at it. Yeah. Any other ones?
I played every other game.
Yeah, same here, man. There's stuff I guess Shin Megami Tensei, but I've played Persona, so like that one is relevant recently. Farming
The one I
Simulator.
played the most is actually Nocturne, which is the one that's getting remade soon, which is funny.
What's that?
The one I've played the most is actually Nocturne, which is getting remade soon, which is
Oh,
funny
that's the one that's going to be on
that I
Switch? Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
It's kind of like Pokemon. You'd like it.
I probably would. Tim Laro says, hey, today I have a wholly original idea for a game I like to call Where's That Colon? Just simply say where the colon is for each PS4 game. The answer up your butt is an immediate disqualification. Tim, come on. They were better than this. It's funny because this is close to the colon game I was looking for, except it's just where is the colon in this name? I was thinking it would be is there a colon in this game or not? But Tim has a more
I like
specific
this.
twist. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Leo.
I couldn't get
Ghostbusters.
used to this.
Okay. Ghostbusters, the video game remastered. Where's that colon?
Wow. After Ghostbusters.
Correct. Easy layup out of the gate.
I thought it
Jeffem.
might have been a trick.
Yeah.
Lego Marvel Superheroes. Where's that colon?
I'm going to say after Marvel.
I'm sorry, there is no colon in Lego
Oh,
Marvel
come on. I didn't know there were
Superheroes.
trick questions in
know
here.
that was going to be an option.
It's an option. I like to keep all these rules secret. I think it makes games
Yeah.
more fun.
That's, yeah. Very
Kyle, NASCAR Heat Evolution.
After NASCAR, before Heat, sir.
Incorrect. No colon in NASCAR. Leo, Persona 5 Royal.
There
Where's
was no
that colon?
colon at all?
What's that?
Yeah, where was it?
There was no
Oh,
colon in Kyle's either?
No.
Really?
No colon in NASCAR.
I'm
right.
going to say it. No, there's no colon. Persona 5 Royal.
Correct. No colon in Persona 5 Royal. Jeffem, Persona 5 Dancing All Night.
After 5.
Correct. There is
After
a colon in
dancing,
Persona 5 Dancing
dude.
All Night.
I was waiting for it to be like after all and not night.
Ugh. All right,
Morning.
these are tough. All right, Kyle, no joke. Star Trek Bridge Crew. Where's that colon?
You can phone a friend?
I don't think that one has a colon.
It does have a colon after Trek. Leo Vader. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Where's that colon?
That's... After 1.
After 1! Okay.
Wait,
Jeffem?
really? I
Yeah.
thought it was colon episode 1 M-Racer.
No, colon Racer.
Wow. Okay.
Jeffem. Yakuza Kiwami.
Yakuza.
No colon.
Kiwami.
No colon is incorrect. There is a colon after Yakuza. Kyle. Grand finale. Yakuza Kiwami 2.
No colon.
No colon in Yakuza Kiwami 2. Thank
hilarious.
you, Tim. You get the
That was
idea.
good. That was good.
Thank you, Tim. My name is Dan. Says, hey, team, are there any games that have given you extreme goosebumps before? The last games I recall giving me goosebumps are Undertale and The Outer Wilds. They both, in their unique ways, had this effect on me by having me experience sequences that blew my mind by revealing significant information that was not thought possible to exist before, or completely altering reality itself. Last game to give you goosebumps.
For me, it was The Outer Wilds as well.
Really?
The first time I was stranded out in space and the loop ended before I suffocated, and actually seeing the loop end was an incredible moment.
Oh, God. Was that one of your favorite games last year?
Definitely. Yeah, it was on my top 10.
Do you remember where it was at?
7 maybe? In that
So if you
zone?
would have been with us last year, you probably could have gotten it on the list of the 210s.
I would have. A Return of the Obra Dinn also had a lot of goosebumps moments.
Ooh, yeah, that's good. This is so dumb and specific, but in Amplitude on PS4, there is a song, Dalatect, which I believe is the 14th song of that soundtrack. There is a moment in that song that gives me goosebumps every time I play it. It just annihilates me. It's one of my favorite moments of the generation. It's just like this moment where there's like a narrative to that game and the music in that game, which is a little bit dopey, but it's about somebody in a coma. And then it's just like this moment where it all slows down and it's very specific. Look, I'll have you guys all play it at some point.
Are you about to cry, Hanson?
Yeah, it's just this transcendent moment in this song, and every time I play it, it hits me so hard. It's very good. Anyways,
I mean, Tetris Effect had that.
I was going to say
Yeah.
Tetris Effect as well.
yeah.
Probably...
That should be back
the
in the
oth-
box. If you're able to get a goosebump out of somebody.
The other quick one for me is in Inside when you get pulled underwater. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
remember that part specifically. It's really drawn out and long. Very cool.
Yeah. Sean Jeezy, do it easy. He's back again. He says, "Hey, Double M's. Hope all is well with you and yours. Thank you. So this Skater XL, could this be the skating game that sets the bar for a realistic sim? It seems like this year is the year of skateboard games. Sessions, Tony Hawk, Skatebird. Skateboarding fans have a lot to embrace. Now, the official 1.0 version of Skater XL is somewhat shallow, but with their plans to expand with more maps, mods, and multiplayer, could this be one of the best skate games for years to come? Plus, it's only $40. What do you think about it? P.S. My MinnMax stickers and 2 shirts arrived last week. They are dope as hell. Thank you so much, Sean. 2 shirts. Skater XL. What do you think of this thing, Leo?
I like it a lot. I think if $40 seems about right for it, it kind of feels like half a game in some ways. Like it controls great. It's a lot like Skate, but even a little more complicated as far as each thumbstick is always your left and right foot, respectively. And it's very precise and it feels good, but there's no story. It's like you can kind of go in the menu and do challenges on each of the maps that are just like do this trick over this gap, or eventually be doing lines of like do this trick over this gap, right into this trick over this gap, and it's kind of just essentially teaching you how to do all the tricks in the game is kind of the gameplay beyond
And
just
that's-
enjoying the free skating and just doing your own lines.
And that's even in 1.0, because in early access, I noticed it's pretty stripped down too. Also, no music in early access. Do you know if that's changed?
There's music now. Yeah,
Okay.
It's got a soundtrack. But I mean, I think it feels great, and I could definitely see them like maybe getting bought or something, making a Skater XXL for Game Pass that has a story mode, because it feels like it feels like just the free roam, options in Skate.
I mean,
right
yeah,
now.
honestly, why doesn't EA just do what happened with the golf club, where 2K was like, hey, that's now PGA Tour? Like, shouldn't the skate team at EA just be like, yeah, we'll just take Skater XL and build on that, and ta-da! I mean, it'd be a good move, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting though. Some of the animations and the general like glitchiness of it feels worse than Skate 3, which is interesting for a 10-year-old game, but obviously massively different teams. But it's still almost there, and like the physics are way better. It's just the animations are a little more rigid. So I feel like if they just had bigger budget, bigger team, they could do something really cool.
Yeah. Dakota Selmarillion says, hey, MinnMax crew, quick question. If genres were to become console exclusives, did you guys hear about this? So genres are now console exclusive. Who gets what and why? To make the discussion easier, let's define it as PlayStation, Switch, Xbox, and PC. So which genre is now
So
exclusive to which
Nintendo gets
system?
platformers.
Yep, correct.
Sony gets third-person action.
Oof, that's a pretty
With
broad
climbing.
one.
Got to have climbing.
Linear third-person action.
Honestly, I think you can just give them the full third-person action.
You can give them action adventure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
PC gets first-person shooters.
Ooh. Okay, and Sims?
Yeah.
Whew. All right, and Xbox gets...
Game Pass.
That's a genre now, right?
Without PC, I actually would have gone first-person shooter on Xbox, because for whatever reason, I think of Halo and Call of Duty as Xbox experiences, but I mean, I can't take that away from PC. Like
Yeah, that'd be just rude. Okay,
do you
so...
mean?
what about this? What about third-person action adventure PlayStation gets, but third-person cover Xbox gets? Is that too fine a distinction?
I mean, where does Uncharted fit there?
I mean, no one's using cover in Uncharted.
Well, it's just whether cover's a button or not.
Right.
Like, all these games have cover, but...
Yeah. What does Microsoft get? There's got to be something good.
Cover games
Racing.
with a button.
Okay, racing.
Racing.
There we
Trivia.
Trivia on racing. Please enjoy your Xbox Series X. HQ2 is going to be a doozy. Nathan Wallach.
101.
there you go.
Nathan Wallach says, outside of the occasional leak, it's often difficult to predict what Nintendo will do next. So rather than engage in that often futile endeavor, what will the big N definitely not do in the coming years? I love this question. So just
Build out their
100
virtual console, like with Wii and GameCube and N64 titles. Not doing that.
Yeah. They won't be releasing their games on other platforms. Because even
That's very smart.
iPhone mobile was kind of a bust, and I think they're backing away from that even.
Yeah. Really?
Not saving their information on computers anymore.
We're going back to Papyrus. Leo, I mean, would you, let's just boil this down with Nathan. Let's say the next 2 years, would you bet over $1,000 they would not release N64 games on Switch?
Currently, no. I would not bet that amount of money on that.
Okay.
I would say $100.
Well, I mean, we got to be ironclad for Nathan here.
Sorry, Nathan. I put my wedding ring on the line.
I mean, at this point, they're just going to remake N64 games, right? Like,
I don't know.
because like there's that rumored Nintendo bundle, which Mario 64 could conceivably
All Stars
be on
2,
there.
yeah. Let's see. They won't for sure film a tour of their new headquarters. That'll never happen. Did I say new?
Miyamoto won't acquire a Twitter account.
Ah, very good. Very good. Nintendo business.
AJ, why can't I think of his name?
Aonuma?
Eiichi Aonuma? He might consider it.
Wow, that'd be a bold move. I'm confident they will not release a duck hunt game in the next 2 years. A little violent, a little much. Those ducks didn't deserve that. It's fun, though, because it makes you question everything about Nintendo. Like, would anybody be confident saying Nintendo will not release a new handheld, dedicated handheld in the next 2 years?
Oh, God.
No. I was going to say they won't stop making consoles.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But that's 2 years, though. That's the question there, I guess. I think you're right. Will they make a new console that's not like, Switch XL within 2 years?
I bet
don't
not.
think so.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't say that.
But
Not
rumors are
including
going to be
classic
bubbling. What's that, Leo?
Not including classic stuff, like a Game Boy all-in-one.
Oh. Yeah, I would treat that as a separate thing.
All right. Jacob Schmidt here has a good one. He says, hello, MinnMax crew. Hello, Jacob. Here's a little game I came up with. Below are some memorable character names from somewhat recent games. Can you remember where you've heard that name before? Jeffem? Joseph
Ready.
Seed. What game is that from?
Oh, God.
Leo, please, keep it down.
Well, the fact that you guys all jumped on it, I'm going to say Red Dead.
Here's another hint. I believe you reviewed this game.
Oh, damn it. Far Cry.
Yeah.
I knew
Far
it.
Cry 5. Okay,
Yeah.
now everybody can jump in.
I
now.
didn't actually review Far Cry 5, though. That was Jeff Cork.
Oh, that was Jeff
But
Cork.
I played
Dang it.
through it with him, so.
There we go. Kyle Crane, the main character from a game.
The main character?
A game that last week Leo said, well, I got to give a tip of the cap to this one. Honorable mention just because of my boy Kyle Crane.
Oh, boy. I have no idea what this is.
That is the protagonist for Dying Light.
Oh.
Because he climbs on cranes.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's Climb Crane. It was his name. I mispronounced it.
Climbal crane.
Shay,
That's what my parents almost named me. That was going to be my other name, Climb.
Shay Patrick Cormack.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm right
interesting.
there with that.
Really?
Are we all signing, like, we can all...
All of us in.
This is a Red Dead, isn't it? Shay?
No, it's the main character
No?
in a game.
Oh, are these all main characters?
No.
Okay.
Assassin's Creed.
I need more information.
Assassin's Creed, the London one.
I'm sorry, it is not the London one.
What's that one called, guys?
The Russian
Black
one.
Flag?
It's not Black Flag, but you're so warm.
The Russian one.
No, it's not.
Assassin's Creed Rogue?
Rogue. There we go.
Isn't that the? I thought that was in Russia.
Rogue? No.
Yeah. Where is it?
There's like Arctic
prove
and
him
stuff.
wrong,
It's
Hanson.
no, it's in
Yeah,
the.
prove me
It's
wrong.
in the American Northeast. It's like the
Rogue.
river and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
What Russian
trust
one are you
you.
talking about? Is that like the 2D one?
I mean, I thought, you know what? I think there was like a comic that was. Russian,
Okay, here we
and
go.
I just thought they were Rogue.
was right. Okay, this is.
Oh, I've pushed my glasses so far up my nose, they've gone off my head.
All right, this is the villain in a game, and her name is Delilah Copperspoon.
Hey there, Delilah.
I don't know if anybody played this game, which is a good game. Oh no, I'll rip off this Band-Aid quick. That's Dishonored 2's villain. Okay, this is the main character.
Wait, hold on, Hanson.
Yeah.
I pulled up the Rogue Wikipedia page, and
Yeah.
I did a Command F for the word Russia,
Yeah.
and nothing. I didn't get any results.
Get out of town. I'm going to fall out of my seat with that news, Kyle. All right, main character, and his name is Chase McCain.
Oh boy, this sounds so familiar.
Yeah.
It's a very good name. It's the perfect name.
Wait, is it Lego City?
Yeah, Lego City Undercover.
Hey.
Way to go. Way
we
to go. Okay, this is the main character, Sebastian Castellanos.
Oh,
The Evil
Within.
Dead. The Evil Within.
Wow, there we go. There we go. Finally on the tip of a tongue. And all right, this is a villain named Jonathan Irons.
Call of
Ghost
Duty.
Recon.
Call of
sorry.
Duty Advanced Warfare.
Yeah! And he's
Nice.
played by
Kevin Spacey.
history's greatest villain. Way to go. Thank you for writing in with that one, Jacob Schmidt. That was fun.
That was good.
Let's see. Ben wrote in and says, Hanson, can you explain what a snow cave is? Yeah. Okay, so I tweeted this out. It was confusing. So I was in Seattle over the weekend, and I went on this hike. Like, hang on, Leo's going to roll his eyes into the microphone. And here it goes. Sounds great. So I went on this hike. It's called Lake 22. It's like an hour outside of Seattle. But it was awesome because it's like this long hike up to this beautiful mountain lake. It's just beautiful blue, you know? And then there's snow on the far side of the lake. And it was awesome because there's like water coming from a waterfall trickling through the snow. And so it like had carved out this kind of like natural snow cave that was like curling around. And so I took a picture of that and tweeted it out. But I did just call it a snow cave, and I think people were confused about that. But
Yeah, I saw that and I liked that because I knew you were going up to Seattle to meet your girlfriend's family, and it was like, oh, here's Hanson hiding in a snow cave.
Well,
instead.
first I watched the Xbox games presentation, and then I
Right.
went and hid in a snow cave with my best friend
3
Wamba.
days.
That's right. Felix Davin says, hello, MinnMax. What would have been the most surprising and most futuristic moment of these two for you? The first time you played Wii Sports or the first time you played Beat Saber? What felt more surprising and futuristic?
Wii Sports.
Wii Sports.
Futuristic, though?
I think specifically the first time, because once you play it more, you start to realize like, oh, it's this little gesture is what's making this tennis racket swing. It's not really tracking it that good. But like
Right.
when you're being
Also-
introduced to it, it's like,
Yeah.
wow, this is revolutionary. They should
but
call this a
also
revolution.
also the bowling was still mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the bowling was the one that still felt like it was the actual sport.
I guess I
The
don't
tennis
remember.
you could see through, but
Yeah.
If Beat Saber was like the first thing in VR, maybe, but
I think
don't
that's
think
the
it was.
distinguishing
Yeah,
factor there.
that's a great point.
Like I had played a bunch of VR, and then Beat Saber felt like, oh, this is what we were building towards. Like this feels like a really good use of this technology. But yeah, I mean, the first time I ever had a Wii remote in my hand, I was like, this changes everything. Like I really felt like I was witnessing a video game revolution.
I threw my old
They should have
controllers in
called
the
it the
trash.
revolution. That would have been really smart.
yeah.
Leo, I just want to throw out that I think they should have called that the revolution.
Jeffrey, your thoughts?
Yeah, go with Revolution.
There it is.
We're agreed.
Also, I never played Beat Saber, which is why I said
What?
Wii Sports.
Oh,
So.
you should.
Get out of here.
No, I'm not
Go
gonna
get a
do
quest.
Tactical Dreamer says, hello, friends. This is maybe a little late, but on the last episode of Season 1 of Photomode Snap, you asked what game has the most detailed moon, and I think that the answer is Borderlands the pre-sequel. It's like, oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Didn't I said Destiny, I think, right? Didn't I?
Oh, yeah. But
Still a good answer though.
Better looking moon is in Destiny, but maybe more detail and stuff in there. It's probably pre-sequel.
How's there more detail though?
It's bigger
You're up
space,
close.
more nooks and crannies.
More buildings.
Yeah.
Like on the moon.
See more of it.
Buildings on the moon,
guess.
Jeffem.
Jeffem seems unconvinced.
Sure.
Which, by the way, we are streaming a new episode of Photo Mode Snap, a bonus episode all about Ghost of Tsushima. That's going to be Thursday at 3 p.m. Central, and then it'll be on the YouTube channel on Friday, so you can look forward to that. It's a fun bonus thing that, Photo Mode Snap is like a limited thing, but I think James Smith in particular in the community was like, you should just bring it back for big games every now and then, and that seems like
that idea.
good idea. We'll
That
see
makes
how this
sense.
goes, but I'm excited to see all those Ghost photos there. All right, Taylor Owens wants to know, which of these games do you think will release first? Kyle, will Metroid Prime 4 or Bayonetta 3 release first?
Ooh, Bayonetta 3, I think.
I think that's correct. Yes, correct. Leo, Bioshock 4 or Skate 4?
Skate 4.
Okay. Oh, Jeff, here's a quiz for you. See how well you remember a couple months ago. Which game will release first? Project Athia or Pragmata?
Okay, flip a coin. Project Athia.
Do you remember what those are?
Hell no.
So,
Is Pragmata even a game?
yeah, that was that Capcom cool one that had the moon on it. Remember?
I thought we were talking. What is the remember that Square Enix next gen demo of like the woman in the cathedral?
Agnes
who, like,
Philosophy.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, one of those isn't even a game.
Right.
But this makes a lot more sense now that I know all the details.
Leo, Starfield or Dragon Age 4?
Dragon Age 4. I
Sorry,
don't think Starfield is anything right now.
You think it's just literally a Starfield screensaver?
It's a screensaver, yeah.
Yep.
Kyle, Breath of the Wild 2 or Horizon Forbidden West?
I would have said Horizon Zero Dawn 2 before the PS5 reveal, but now I'm going to go Breath of the Wild 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they just said 2021 for Forbidden West.
Yeah.
So
I
you
think
still
Breath of the Wild is closer than that.
Do you think it's going to be March 2021?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, I think it could be.
Yeah. I'll give myself one. Final Fantasy Remake Part 2 or Fable? I think Fable, for sure.
Really?
Wait, you don't?
No, I think Remake Part 2 is like they're well into development. They have a lot of the assets already created. Like,
Well, no, they
I
don't.
I think it's further.
They have
You don't think
assets
so?
for Midgar created, but they got to make a whole bunch of other stuff.
And they
You
also
think they have to make a new cloud and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. I bet they will for new gen. I'm sure it'll be remodeled in a big way.
yeah, and didn't I remember seeing a headline where they said like we're gonna start ramping up on episode 2 now. It was like, what the hell? Like you guys weren't doing that concurrently while you were finishing up the last one?
Yeah, their messaging is very confusing. But yeah, I think Fable is going to be maybe next year. Just given Playground's production line there. Jeffem, this is your favorite. Hellblade 2 or Elden Ring?
Hellblade.
That's
Elden
right,
Ring's
because Elden
never
Ring's
coming out.
That's right. It's not a real thing. Wait, have we played this exact game before?
I don't know.
No.
I mean, they announced that they're updating Sekiro in October, so I guess they got to work on that for the next couple months.
Yeah. Leo, I love this one. Avowed or Elder Scrolls 6?
Avowed.
I think for sure Avowed. Yeah, especially if Starfield's going to take forever and then they're getting to 6 after that, even though they have, 3 or 4 different studios that are going to be working on that thing?
Is Bethesda doing a faux E3 this year?
No.
Yeah, you'd think they would say something about Elder Scrolls 6 for all the good PR they need right now. If they had anything, I think they would be hitting us with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I could be
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to think of their messaging this year. And it's like, okay, Doom Eternal's out the door. They were able to jump into the PlayStation stream to talk about Deathloop. And so, maybe.
That game looks cool.
Yeah. Okay, and Kyle, for the grand finale, Beyond Good and Evil 2 or Star Citizen?
Well,
Wow.
you can play Star Citizen right now. Technically, I'm gonna go with Star Citizen.
All right. White Mex writes in and has a game that's a bunch of fictional video games from media. Your job is to figure out if this is a fake game name from The Simpsons or somewhere else from another TV show or movie. Okay. My Dinner with Andre, the video game. Jeffem, what do you think that is? That's Simpsons or something? That is Simpsons, correct. Leo, a video game called Escape from Grandma's House.
Not Simpsons.
I'm sorry, that is Simpsons. That's season 2, episode 1. Bart gets an F. Kyle.
Leo gets an F.
No kidding. Hero's Duty.
Hero's Duty? Mm-hmm. That is from Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, way to go, Kyle. Let's see. Jeffem, Ninja Revolution.
Something else.
Wait.
Yep. Yes.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Scott Pilgrim, way to go. Let's see. Leo, Disemboweler 4.
Simpsons.
That is Simpsons. That's right. Homer Badman.
I believe he said Impsons.
Oh, he did. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that. Yeah. Let's see.
I
Jeffem,
like that show's way better.
Jeffem, a game called Stickball.
Simpsons.
That is Simpsons. What about a game, Kyle, called Wiffle Boy?
Wiffle Boy? I don't guess Simpsons? I don't know.
That's Darkwing Duck.
Oh!
Thank you. What an interesting game, White Max. What an interesting little one.
I like that one.
Mick Manga says, hello, cohorts. My question, why do so many games have a similar genre released in the same year? For myself, I love sim games, and boy, does 2020 deliver. Rune Factory 4 Special, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town, Harvest Moon, One World. Will I play them all? You betcha. But it did make me wonder how so many similar games from 3 different developers all launched around each other.
Market research.
Do you think?
Look at 3 years before all those games came out and find the one concentrated one that did well, and everyone said, "Hey, we need to make one of those."
Yeah, I guess that's Stardew
It was
Valley.
Stardew Valley, yeah.
Right. That's where they got the idea for Animal Crossing, I think.
That is.
That's where they got the idea to make an Animal Crossing sequel.
That's right, Kyle.
Yeah, but that happens in movies too, where it's like, yeah, maybe market research for some reason, companies just all agree that this is where the money is right now, like with The Prestige and The Illusionist.
Yeah. And all the Yeti movies, there were like 3 Abominable Snowman movies one year.
It's my favorite
All smash
subgenre.
hits.
The Yeti films. That should be a deepest dive. Movies about Yetis.
I've seen them
Harry and
all.
the
Let's do it.
Hendersons.
There we go. Yeah, they talked about that on the latest episode of Refreshed with Ana Diaz. Actually, they talked about like the confusing situation of The Road to El Dorado being released by DreamWorks, but then Jeffrey Katzenberg, who led the animation there at DreamWorks, he left Disney as they were making Emperor's New Groove. And so it's that confusing thing of he's like, well, you know what the next big cash cow is? South America. We've mined Africa with Lion King. Time to move on. Anyways, hey, Mason writes in and says, hello from South Dakota.
Hi.
That's where you can become legend, as the billboards tell me. I was really excited when you were talking about old RPGs last week, and I thought I was going to hear mention of my favorite, The Legend of Dragoon, but oh well. We will never mention The Legend of Dragoon. Anyways, my question is, with the new consoles having a launch version with no disk drive, do you think companies are going to have to start changing their collector's editions of games, since there's a possibility that more and more people will need digital copies instead of hard copies? Is that a good question?
Oh. You know, I don't think it will, because I think even if you want a collector's edition of a game, I think the disc, even if you don't use it, is still considered like part of that value. But that's really interesting, though. I think that is a really good question.
Do you think the discs you just want it on a shelf?
Yeah.
Do you think they'll include digital codes?
I bet they will. That seems like the easy,
they
just
already do
doubling
a
up
little
on
bit.
that.
Do they?
Yeah. But I mean, if you want to collect something, you would like to have a boxed version of the game, even if like you end up downloading it or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like I like Limbo a lot. I own like the collector's edition of Limbo on PC, but I've never taken the disc out of the box, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like the cool collector's edition of Inside on PS4 you can get from IM8-bit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
that is a good point, though. I think so.
They wouldn't include both a disc and a code, though.
Yeah, that seems
right?
like overkill.
Yeah.
I can see
That
them
they would
shifting
do.
to like bigger statues and then just including the code and calling it good.
They do that a little bit now. Like I've bought games where I open the box and there's just a code in there, you know?
Yeah, and a moth
that's how
flies out.
Borderlands was for Switch. I think if you buy the Borderlands or BioShock bundle, I think BioShock 1 is on a cartridge, and then you get a code for BioShock 2 and Infinite.
Yeah, so
Which
bizarre.
is like weird.
Joe Dean writes in and says, hey, everybody, do you think that in the universe of The Last of Us, people still eat mushrooms? Or do you think that cordyceps have made people so afraid of fungus that they won't touch the stuff? Maybe they're only put on pizza or mushroom and Swiss burgers? Please, I need the answer.
Let me put it this way. We still drink Coronas.
And boy, do we. Clink.
Clink.
If you're listening to the audio version, we're all drinking Coronas throughout every episode of the MinnMax
Yes.
show.
We all
It
clink.
explains a lot.
I think they do. They must. If they have any food in the world of The Last of Us, they will eat it. It's better than sucking on some duct tape or whatever option number 2 is. Plus, but keeping it a little vague here, there is a scene in The Last of Us Part 2 where you're in an environment that has like an old painting of a mushroom on the wall, and they're like, "What a weird effed up place." I'm like, "Oh no, I guess back then mushrooms were cool." There were fantastical
true.
places you could build a little house in. How often do you think about The Last of Us Part 2, Jeffem?
Still quite a bit.
Yeah. I still listen to a lot of spoiler casts about it. It's interesting to unpack everybody else's thoughts. And, I think that Neil Druckmann over at Naughty Dog has done a really good job of being really transparent in a lot of the spoiler cast interviews, especially from, a studio as guarded as Sony. I thought he's kind of taken the Rian Johnson path of like, yeah, there's a lot of controversy about Last Jedi, but I'm going to just be as transparent as possible talking about how he made these decisions, all of the stupid ideas along the way, because yeah, I think Last of Us Part 2 is brilliant, but then you hear a lot of those early ideas and it's like, oh boy, they were close to blowing it. Don't do those things, but eventually it works itself out. Nick from Atlanta says, hello, cohorts. I'd love to hear your thoughts on a hypothetical that he saw on Twitter. Leo, you can pick 2 of the following and they will defend you, but the rest are coming to kill you.
Right.
Your choices are 10 alligators, 3 bears, 7 bulls, 5 gorillas, 50 hawks, 1 human, 4 lions, 10,000 rats, and 15 wolves. So you can pick 2, and they will defend you, but the rest are
Does a
coming
human
to
have a
kill you.
gun or anything?
It just says human. But isn't the human mind the most dangerous
and
weapon?
all-
Yeah, it's gonna outsmart 5 gorillas.
Ah, yes. You climb
And
a tree.
all the other ones are coming to kill you?
Yes.
I would go 5 gorillas and the wolves. 15 wolves.
15 wolves. I think
Yeah,
that's
gorillas and
really
wolves.
good. I was leaning gorillas too. They're mean
Rats, I
SOBs.
want to believe would work, but they just get stomped on and ignored, I think.
Plus, it'd be like an RTS and like the pathing issues of the rats, they'd all be like jammed up in a corner somewhere or something.
At the same time, though, do you want 10,000 rats coming at you? Like, what are gorillas going to do?
I
They're
can
not
handle
going to
the
stop
rats.
those
Stomp on 'em.
rats. You're going to stomp on 10,000 rats.
Yeah, get my boots out.
Good
Get my
luck.
stomping boots ready.
Well, I guess you
to
could
town.
run to the nearest body of water, and then the rats couldn't
I'm-
get you,
I'm on one of the gorilla's shoulders,
and the
there you
gorilla
carrying
loves
our
you.
flag.
Yeah.
Then you have to listen to the gorilla slowly being eaten to death by rats.
Better him than you.
Better
Yeah.
him than you. You don't have to
Yeah,
be.
you're next,
Sorry,
Kyle.
loser.
You just have to outrun one of the gorillas. Really, is all you have to do, and the rats will take care of it.
By the way, Hanson, you had a real Bob Duca from Comedy Bang Bang vibe going there, reading all this.
Oh, really?
Scott Ackerman's
10,000
stepdad.
rats.
10
Oh, that's
gorillas. 5
Also, can you
elephants.
outrun a gorilla?
No.
God, no.
No.
I think I can.
Okay, you try it.
How fast can a gorilla run? Google. Also, this is the weird thing of podcasting with a computer now. It's just, welcome to the Google cast. How fast do you think a gorilla can run?
40 miles an hour.
40
35.
miles an hour?
How fast can bears
what's that?
run? Like 30.
Yeah, aren't like leopards like 60, so that's like the apex. So
Well,
I'd say
cheetah.
like 30. Oh, cheetah.
Gorillas
yeah.
got human feet plus human hands, and they use them all to run, so twice as fast as us at least.
That's true. Okay, Leo, just for a frame of reference, a polar bear can run at 25 miles per hour. So what's that gorilla at?
30.
20.
20 to 25. Now,
But how fast can they swing?
that's a good point, and they look really cool. And how fast can they put on their tie is what I want to know. Turns out, and I'm sure this applies to me, but I Googled, it turns out a human being can run at 28 miles an hour, so
What?
we can outrun the hell out of a
That's
gorilla.
not
Which
you,
human
Joe
beings?
Hansen. Yeah.
I still think I could outrun a gorilla. I mean, I'd be scared and I'd be pooping the entire time out of fear. You don't
Well,
think
you couldn't outlast one is the thing. You would get tired before the gorilla did.
They weigh like
Yes.
900 pounds. They're going to
Of
get
pure
tired.
muscle.
It doesn't matter. I mean, have you ever seen a 900-pound person sprint after you? How far could Andre the Giant run?
I don't
Hang on,
think
let me
he was
Google how
900
far
pounds.
could Andre the Giant.
Are podcaster muscles stronger than gorilla muscles?
Anyways, Dunder writes in and says, hey, no question here, but more of a PSA on this Xbox-focused show. This is wild. I don't know if this is true. Please somebody correct this. Anyone interested in the Xbox ecosystem should check out Microsoft Rewards. It's one of the best rewards programs out there. Points are earned by making purchases, completing Game Pass quests, earning achievements, completing Bing searches on PC and mobile, and many more ways. Insert your Bing jokes here, but you can just make a bunch of quick random searches to get your max daily points, and they can be redeemed for Game Pass codes, Xbox Live, Microsoft gift cards, and restaurants, just to name a few. I've been banking points for years, and I'll be getting a Series X for free later this year.
My wife
crazy?
was a big Windows Phone user for a while.
Yeah.
And she signed up for that program and, used Bing like on desktops and stuff. And she was getting like $30 Amazon gift cards every month as a result.
Really?
Yeah. So it is a real thing.
Wow. Okay. Microsoft Rewards, everybody. Get a free Series X today. All right. Mr. Lopez writes in with a great one. He says, okay, Ben, I think I have a little game for you called Does It Have a Colon? All right, here we go. Leo Vader,
So this
Remnant from the Ashes.
This isn't where. This is just if.
Does it?
I was looking at this game in my library 2 days ago.
Did you note the colon?
Yes, it has a colon.
It does have a colon. Kyle, Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
No colon on that one. I don't
Correct. Rayman Legends,
think. I
Kyle?
reviewed that one. No colon.
No colon in Rayman Legends either.
But Origins, I think, might.
I think you're right. I'll keep with you, Kyle. Near Automata. I'm sorry. I'll take JV Boltney's best joke of all time. Near a tomato, as he called it.
And I believe it's... wait, how did you say it? It's near Automata.
Yeah, whatever.
No colon in that one.
There is a colon.
There's a
I'm sorry.
colon. Come on, Kyle.
Let's go to the London one. Jeffem, Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
No.
Correct. No colon. Leo, Monster Hunter World.
No colon.
It does have a colon, but they moved it for Iceborne to Afterworld, which is very confusing. Kyle, Star Wars Battlefront.
No colon.
Correct. Jeffem, Dragon Age Inquisition.
Colon.
Colon! Way to go. Hey, we're getting really good at this colon, no
We
colon.
are.
Where's the colon game? Colons are kind of our thing.
We know
Matthew,
colons.
We do a colon show every week. Stop it. Stop it.
take
Punish
that clip, make that one of your video essays, Leo. We got it in the can for next week. Matthew Weatherley says, G'day, MinnMax team. What is the most dangerous, green or red barrels? Also, as a follow-up, what is your favorite application of an explosive barrel in a video game? Green seem scarier. I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, red... Yeah.
Lasting damage.
I mean, it's
they
usually
just
like a little
poison them.
poison cloud, right?
Yeah, we don't know
But
how big
red-
it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but an explosion kills you most of the time, right? Well, I guess I don't.
Yeah, well, Leo has the lasting damage. You don't know how long that poison effect is going to last. You don't know what it's going to do to you.
Yeah, I
But
don't know.
Yeah.
do you all have favorite exploding barrel stories?
Yeah, the answer is just cause.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, another one, Explosion Man. It's good. Like, you integrate explosive barrels into your platforming so you can hit higher levels and stuff like that. It's a lot
Oh,
of fun.
gotcha, yeah.
And for all... I was just going to quickly say, for everything that Resident Evil 5 gets criticized about, it has some of the best explosive barrels in video games, period.
Because they explode?
The intensity of Resident Evil 5 explosive barrels is, like, unmatched. It's insane. I don't know how they did
Just
it.
an atomic bomb with every barrel?
Pretty much, yeah.
Huh.
I think they even have a little mini mushroom cloud.
Hitman has explosive barrels that you have to puncture with a screwdriver and then shoot the oil that comes out of it to make them blow up, which I think is better for my immersion.
Yeah, that's important to us, too. Matt Robinson says, hello, Ben and the cohort. Hello. I have a game for you. A lot of games this week.
Wow.
But hey, we ain't complaining. We're here to game, folks.
That's right.
What's a colon? Does it have? Where is it? What is it? How is it? When is it?
Okay, below are 5 licensed songs featured in a video game. Your goal is to guess the game. All right, so buzz in when you think you know. Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Buzz.
Buzz?
Metal Gear Solid 5?
Incorrect. Get out of here, Buzz.
It's actually not a bad guess.
Soft Cell's Tainted Love.
Jeff. GTA Vice City.
Incorrect.
Oh.
REM, Shiny Happy
Wait.
People.
Are you giving us the right answers here, or?
It's all one
What?
game?
Yeah, it's all from one game.
Oh, it's all from one game?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, wait, no.
C-
no, I know it, but whatever.
CCR's Fortunate Son. And the last one, Kyle, is the Beach Boys' God Only Knows.
Oh, BioShock Infinite.
There we go.
Leo's
None of
taking a
you
nap.
gun jumpers out there.
That's right.
Slow and steady, Kyle.
I didn't
That's
know there
our
were going to be
strategy.
multiple songs.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was one song from each thing. That's why I was confused.
I should have gotten it because that version of Girls Just Want to Have Fun is really good. I
It's-
listen to that every once in a while.
I seriously do as well. I remember
Yeah.
like being so into it after I played that game and going home over like the holidays and like playing it over the speakers for my family. I said, "Listen to this." They said, "This is
You know
lame."
that new sound you've been looking for,
An
family?
old sound you don't want anymore?
From a racist floating city. Okay, here we go. Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire. Frank Sinatra's That's Life.
Leo?
Leo.
Tony Hawk's Underground 2?
Wow!
Whoa.
Thug 2! That's
Holy cow,
amazing,
what's the rest of the
Leo.
list there?
God, yeah, and the Doors Break On Through, the Stooges 1970, and the Ramones Rock and Roll High School. Hell of a soundtrack for Thug
That
2.
is.
Yeah. Good
Good
soundtrack. Ring of Fire was like big in the promotion of it, so I was pretty sure. And then the second song locked it in.
Yeah. And then you felt good about yourself?
And right now,
Yeah.
beaming.
Butthole Surfers, Pepper. Kanye West, Power.
Kyle. Saints Row the Third?
Way to go. Killing
Nice.
it. The rest of you would have gotten it with Mozart's Serenade number 13 in G Allegro from Saints Row 3. But
That game also has a Between the Buried and Me song in it, which is very exciting for me because that's a good band that I like.
hey, there we go. Also, Tim and Eric's Sports is in Saints Row 3. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Motorhead, Back to the Funny Farm. Motley Crue, Kickstart My Heart. Very appropriate for the studio. Firehouse, Overnight Sensation. KMFDM, Rip the System.
Is it okay, Kyle?
Kyle.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Incorrect. Sanctuary, Bottle
Oh.
Angels.
Jeff. Rock Band.
Incorrect.
Is he close?
But are you sure that all those songs aren't on there?
Yeah. Let's see. Leo,
Prove
think
me wrong.
That's a good
think
point, Jeff.
specifically of like Motley Crue and Motorhead.
Would that be Brutal Legend?
It is Brutal Legend. Way to go.
I thought maybe it was going to be Tony Hawk 4 because I
No.
think some of those songs are in there too. Anyway, okay, that's good.
Also, fun fact for everybody listening, I've been reading these backwards. He ordered them in a certain way, but ranked them in a different way. This is very complicated. Okay, here we go. I mean, this is a giveaway. I can't do this. Okay. DJ Shadows, I Gotta Rock. Foster the People's Houdini. Skrillex, Scada. The Hives, 1000 Answers. And Run DMC, It's Tricky.
Kyle,
Kyle?
SSX Tricky.
Way to go. Way to go. All right. Here's one. Final one. Aerosmith's Eat the Rich. Aerosmith's Toys
Leo.
in the Attic. Leo.
Guitar Hero Aerosmith?
Incorrect.
Jeff.
Jeff.
Revolution X.
Revolution X!
nice.
Way to go, man. Killing it. Woo! What do y'all like for question of the week?
I only don't want to give it to that one because it was the last one, but that's such a fun idea for a game.
It is very fun. Also, I like just the name of the characters.
I
like
wrote that one
quiz game.
down as one I liked, just because, I actually like that one. The character names, I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
I like the where is the colon game.
Look, no one's denying the where's the colon game. It's killing it. But I like giving it to the name game here.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Great. Jacob Schmidt, congratulations. You're going to get a vinyl soundtrack for Battletoads from I Am 8-Bit. Thank you so much for everybody that supports us on Patreon at patreon.com/MinnMax2ends and submits a great comment or question for us every single week. And now it's time for something called Get a Load of This. Oh, Leo. Oh, Leo, do you want to go first?
Sure. My get a load of this. First off, hey, get a load of this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a 30-second clip on YouTube. It is called Twitch streamer Carl Reimer shot his desk with a gun.
What is it?
It's a gentleman cocking a gun on stream. He seems to be inebriated. He says, "You say I ain't got money," and he cocks his gun intimidatingly, and he accidentally blasts his bottle of G Fuel powder. It explodes on his desk. It's a really good clip, and I think he's not allowed on Twitch anymore.
Oh, cool. Hey, way to go. The world turns. Jeff, what do you got?
Get a load of this. This is a Twitter recommendation, a Twitter account to follow. It's called Arcolect. And it is one of those fancy AI machines that apparently its reason for living is to just find interesting imagery and like interesting photos, whatever it deems as visually striking. And you should add it to your feed, because when I went to find a Get a Load of This, it was, the endless feed of misery of the real world.
Yeah.
But now I have nice, interesting pictures sprinkled through, which makes it a little easier to swallow.
And is it like funny, weird?
It's a lot of photos, but also other 3D images and stuff like that. A lot of architecture and stuff, but they're not only interesting pictures, but it's also interesting to see what an AI is kind of trying to pick out and figure out what is visually striking to human beings.
Because if I've learned anything from Pokemon Snap, it's that an AI can't judge photos very well for true art.
Yeah.
Yeah. As just a reminder, all these links are in the description of either the podcast you're listening to this or on YouTube, wherever you're getting this. You can find the links for this stuff below. Kyle?
Hey, get a load of this. I streamed Mega Man X recently, randomly. And then someone on Twitter, @PIFGames, sent me this YouTube video from this YouTube channel called Terminal Montage. It's a popular YouTube channel. This video has like 3 million views. They release animated videos every now and then. But they happen to release one specifically about Mega Man X. And the reason it's very funny, it's very like crazy and like hectic and funny, but like the thing that the reason I like it so much and the reason I've like watched it over and over is because like I feel like it really, they've somehow managed to capture in this insane short animated film like the what it feels like to play Mega Man X, like in the sense that like you start kind of slow and then when you get the first capsule to speed up your legs so you can start dashing, how that just changes the game dramatically, and how like if you play it enough, like maybe when you were young, when I played it, I didn't really grab onto the music until much later, and it kind of has a sequence that represents where you're like, oh, wait a second, I've never really paid attention to the music. This is so amazing. And I don't know, I've watched it a bunch of times. It's really funny and silly, and it actually shows the whole course of Mega Man X. It like imagines a speed run of Mega Man X. It's super fun. I really enjoyed it.
What's the name of the channel again?
The channel is called Terminal Montage, and they do a whole series of animations like this, just based on various videos and stuff. Yeah,
best friend Ronnie showed me this last week. He's obsessed with it. Yeah, it's just this awesome animation, and it's all the stuff that we saw, and it seems like the most popular thing. His bag is like animating speed runs as if they actually happened. Like,
yes, and did you watch the Breath of the Wild one?
Yeah, it is amazing.
It's so funny. Yeah.
And like the Super Mario World one, Jeff, you should check out. It's such an interesting idea for animations, but yeah.
Like just a quick example for the Breath of the Wild one, like, there's the old man who turns out to be the king, who like you interact with on the plateau in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's sort of, you see it, someone doing a speed run from his point of view where he's like, what is this guy? How is he here so quickly? And he's just like, using tricks to like pounce Link from one end of the map to the other and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very funny. It's a great channel. The Mega Man X one in particular I really like, but they're all quite good.
Oh, that's awesome. Mine is the complete opposite. It's a New York Times article from last week. And it's one of those things that's just, as I'm reading it, it's like, well, this is the best thing I could possibly be absorbing into my brain right now, which is another New York Times article about the existence of UFOs and the history of the government and UFOs. Lots of quotes from everybody. Harry Reid, the former senator from Nevada, he's just right on Front Street talking about like, yeah, there's a ton of reports. Some are more detailed than others, but it's all just reports about stuff that we've recovered from crash sites that we don't fully understand. And in terms of, the government has been sharing the details of what they've recovered from these crash sites with different government agencies and then also with people from the private sector, which is the part that blows my mind. Like, who are they bringing? It's like, are they bringing Elon Musk in just to say, hey, look at this UFO material. Can you make any sense out of this? But here's an actual quote from this New York Times article. Mr. Davis, who now works for Aerospace Corporation, a defense contractor, said he gave a classified briefing to a Defense Department agency as recently as March about retrievals from, quote, off-world vehicles not made on this Earth.
Well, that could mean anything.
Great.
You cannot get more clear than this. Like, this guy is giving briefings on alien tech or some otherworldly tech in some way. It is right there, and we aren't focusing enough on how cool this is.
Yeah, agreed.
Please give us more of these articles, everybody. Just devote like 10% of all newsrooms across the country and the world, really, to getting to the bottom of UFOs. It's all I ask, please.
Make them IFOs.
Yeah, exactly.
That one stuck up on me.
Do we have a community get a load of this, Jeffem?
Yeah, we do. Hey, get a load of this. This is from Nick, Asian Perk, in the Get a Load of This channel. It's a website called Window Swap, which is window-swap.com. And basically what you do when you go there is you'll just click on the swap button or whatever, and it will show you a live stream video of someone who is basically just filming out their window. And so it will be a video of someone somewhere in the world. It will tell you where in the world it is. And then you'll just get a view of that person's window, and it, like 9 out of 10 times, it's just like this beautiful landscape, off in Switzerland or somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you can, of course, like set up your own camera and agree to do that for someone else. And you can just kind of click through and go to Germany and China and everywhere
What if your
else.
window just like overlooks an apartment and just looks into somebody else's apartment?
Hey, it's all good, man.
Oh, okay.
That's
apparently.
window swap, baby.
That's window swap, baby. Woo! Thank you so much for listening or watching to this episode of the MinnMax Show. We appreciate it. Be sure to let us know in the comments if you watched it or listened to it. We'll take either. We take all kinds. If you like the show, please help tell a friend. Definitely check out Leo's YouTube video essay appearing on Friday called Watch Later, and it's about Hitman 2, Leo, of all things.
Yeah, my life as a barber.
There we go. Please check that out and share it if you enjoyed as well. And thank you to our $50 supporters. If you want your name to be read next month, throughout the entire month, on every episode of the MinnMax Show, you can support us at that tier. We'd appreciate it. So thanks to I'm 8-Bit, The Bambox, BeatenDownBrian, Zachary Pligge, Rebekah Lang, Mirko Arico-Torreno, Bryan with a Y, Jawarhello, Mark Seliga, Andrew Vala, Jesse Vitelli, IanTClark, JT Fels, Andrew Sanford, Ludwig Roque, Matthew Paxton, Steve Bamdad, TimeBombTom, Josh Elliot, Yarrow, Tyler Carver, Captain Stubbs 1, Michael Jakes, and Midnight Satire. Thanks so much, everybody. Be good. Have fun. Let's go.